Why are you running the Honolulu Marathon?
Oh, why I'm running the Honolulu Marathon? I'm running the 50 State 50 Marathon.
Kind of a bucket list thing. Hopefully first marathon and last marathon.
My family's from Hawaii, so I come here pretty often.
And I did a 50K earlier this year, 100-mile coming up in February.
It's my first one ever, so just trying to have a good time so I can, want to get out there and do another one someday.
No matter the reason, one thing has brought together the tens of thousands of runners now on the roads of Honolulu, pushing themselves past normal athletic abilities to achieve something truly great. 26.2 miles separates each of them from a memory that will last a lifetime. And while that may seem like a steep hill to climb for our friends and family that are competing, today's journey is only the culmination of countless hours of training. And whether it's their first or 100th, if they are elite or novice, they are united together as runners and athletes. This is the 2024 Honolulu Marathon.
And a live look now from the course of the 52nd Honolulu Marathon. This is Piakoi and Ala Moana, just about 3.5 miles along the course. Runners have been on the road for an hour now, with the race starting at 5 a.m. And it, of course, kicked off with the famed fireworks display, which gets the athletes going each year. Hawaii News Now. Sunrise is your home for this year's race, so settle in for 3 hours of live coverage as we track the leaders, share some inspiring stories, and have a bit of fun along the way. Aloha, I'm Annalisa Burgos. So what exactly is in store for the runners this morning? Let's check in with Jelani Martinez, who will show us where the runners will actually go. Good morning, Jelani.
Hey, good morning, Annalisa. Let's take a flyover of the marathon course so you can see just how far these amazing athletes will run. It all started on Ala Moana Boulevard, right next to Ala Moana Beach Park. Runners then start off east, passing Aloha Tower, before a westward turn through downtown and past Iolani Palace. After passing Ala Moana Center and the Convention Center, the course goes through Waikiki and into Kapi'olani Park. There, the marathoners will say farewell to the 10K racers before continuing around Diamond Head and then through Kaimuki and into the Kahala area. A long stretch down Kalani'anaole Highway is done in both directions after a turnaround point in Hawaii Kai. As runners head back east, the grueling hills around Diamond Head once again await them as they push forward through the final downhill stretch into Kapi'olani Park, where they are met by the cheering fans at the finish line. And the finish line is where we find Steve Uehara. He's with our race analyst, Tony Rivas, this morning. They'll be covering all the action. Good morning, Tony and Steve.
Good morning, Jelani. One of my great joys every year around this time, sitting next to Tony Revis and just soaking up your knowledge. I don't need to ask you. I know you're ready to go, right?
Oh, yeah. They've been out for about an hour right now. And my wife, Toya, is out with Billy D out in the women's vehicle. And Dr. Jim Barahall and Dennis Schwartz are down on the men's vehicle. And they've been sending me splits all along. And the action is hot and heavy.
Okay, so there's a recent development. Somebody's in the lead. Kind of a surprise?
Well, he's not a surprise, but what he did was a surprise. There were 4 men together for the first 10 miles. And in the 11th mile, Ruben Carrillo from Kenya, who was third in the finish last year, but the pace setter from 2022, which means he's got a lot of experience on this Honolulu course, he ran a 4:38 11th mile. And we never saw a 4:38 11th mile in the history of this event in 51 previous years. That's awfully early to make a breakaway. Another guy from Eritrea, Yamani Haile Selassie, has gone with him. So now we got a 2-man fight. And on the women's side, we have a 4-women battle, including Cynthia Lemo, our defending champion. And one more update to make, our defending men's champion, who we thought was a little dinged up before the race, indeed dropped out just before the 10K mark. So Paul Lunyangata, welcome back, Paul. Hopefully we'll see you at the finish line and have a Malasada later on.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's rare for somebody to make a run at this point. Risky?
Well, it is risky. Now, the pack isn't really deep, but this guy's got experience on the field, and when you're racing, you get a sense of the strength of not only yourself but of your opponents. Yeah. And he must have sensed a weakness in the field and gone, because the 4 guys were together all the way from the start. And so there's all that unspoken communication, and he must have sensed the moment was at hand, just getting on the Kalaniʻa Highway. That's where he made that move. Now, if they go all 4 miles out to Hawaii Kai, make the turn, and then come on all the way back here to the park, that's a long way to run by yourself. He does have one other guy with him right now. We'll see how it plays out.
And maybe that helps because he's got somebody that can see.
Right, exactly. But he also knows I made that bold move, and that guy answered the call. So, well, okay, that guy's got some real strength on his side. And having talked to his coach before the race, I know he really thinks he can win. Yamani Haile-Selassie, who lives in Flagstaff, Arizona, but is from Eritrea and is on asylum here in the United States, really, really wants to win this race.
Okay, Tony, we're going to come back to this in a second. Right now, let's head over to Drew Davis, who is with the male leaders. Drew.
Hey Steve, we are currently in the Aina Haina area on Kalani Ana Ole. I'm here with Dr. Jim Barrowhall. I've got to say this has been an absolutely wonderful race to start. Temperatures are nice, light winds. Jim, can you tell me a little bit about the lead of the pack right now?
Well, we have a really great race going. It's not the race we thought we'd have at this point, I can tell you that. The main characteristic of this race right now is that it is fast. It is much faster than last year, and it's picking up speed as we go along. Ruben Carrillo is in the lead. He's run here several times. He's been a pacemaker here before, and he took this thing out in the 10th mile. He dropped a 4:38 mile on the 10th mile, broke up a pack of 4. Yamani Haile-Selassie has hung with him. Our Japanese runner, Katsuki Horio, has dropped back along with Barnabas Kiptum. But this is a very, very fast race. They went through the half marathon in just a little over 1:06, but the pace continues to pick up. And keep in mind, the way back on this highway tends to be the fastest part of the race. What we don't have right now is the headwinds that we normally get out here. So we have a very fast competitive race going on right now with the fast time looming if they can keep this up.
Yeah, and I got to say, especially when we're going uphill around the Diamond Head area, they were still going incredibly fast. And we still have the fastest part of the race still. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's coming up in the course? Because like I said, we're in the Aina Haina area. What is in the next mile or two?
Well, right now we have 2 together, and I think that's very important. Ruben made a very big move. He had broken away alone. It would have been very difficult for him to run the last 16 miles of the race by himself. But he's got company. You can tell he's still surging. Another thing I noticed when they went through the aid stations, the elite runners have their own bottles in a different place. But often we see the leaders take from the regular aid stations. We have all the volunteers out here. They're handing out water. And when the leaders are having trouble or they're feeling the heat and humidity, they'll take whatever water they can find on the course. And I noticed at the last aid station, they only took their elite bottles and they went right past the aid station. That tells me that they're not feeling that dehydrated, they're not feeling that thirsty, and they're focusing on the racing. They're feeling okay.
The humidity, like you said, plays a big part into this race. We're going to be following the male leaders throughout the rest of the morning. Thank you, Jim. We're going to send things over to Billy V with the female leaders.
Thank you very much, Drew. We are on Kalani Ana Ole Highway. We're coming up on the Aina Haina area, and Toya Revis is an experienced track, road, cross-country competitor, trained under Olympians, USA Track and Field certified coach, and she has been watching the ladies carefully. What are you seeing this morning?
Well, I love that the weather is perfect for these ladies. I noticed that all 4 are still together, no issues. Early on, we had the 10K runners mixed in with these ladies, and it sort of looked like they were almost like pacers for these women. And after they left, the ladies still stayed together. They look great. There's really nothing to report as far as any problems. They look really good going up the hill, down the hills. But I really think the weather is going to make a big difference.
Noticing the winds as now that we're on Kalani Ana Ole Highway, we're out of the Waikiki area, the Kahala area. Your thoughts as you're starting to feel the wind and what's going on weather-wise out here?
Well, weather-wise, I feel the temperatures are perfect, but like you said about the wind, that may be a factor later. But right now, as we, experience this, it's dark. It feels a little bit chilly, actually, on the truck. But it just feels like a really, really nice environment for them to run well until we get some wind.
No surprises on our 4 ladies that are in the front of the pack.
No. Cynthia Limo, our defending champion, she's right there with them. There's no surprise there. All the other ladies look good. So it looks like they're not really working together, but they're just together, getting water, being really conscientious about getting their water, not tripping over themselves, especially with the 10K ladies. That was a little bit chaotic when the ladies were mixed in with the 10K runners, but they got out okay. But so far, everything looks great. Cynthia Limo, our defending champion again, looks really steady, and everyone's just working together.
All right, once again, we are out here on Kalanianaole Highway. The crowds have been wonderful. They've been noisy, and we'll continue to watch the female leaders. Let's go back to home base, down at the finish line, back to Tony and Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Billy. I mean, just watching the ease with which they're going through this. I mean, they make it look so effortless.
In many ways, that's the problem with broadcasting the race. People look at how efficient these runners are, and it doesn't look that hard. I always say, when you watch LeBron James take off from the foul line and just smash it down over everybody, it's, oh my God, look at that. That's oh my God. It looks like, well, I can't do that. But then you take a look at what these women and men are doing at such a fast pace, but it looks so easy because they're so efficient in their excellence. It belies how fast and hard it really is.
Yeah, and coming up later, as we get a little further down into the race, I want to get into the gamesmanship. But I do want to get to one number, 36,122. Yeah. 36,122 people came out for the Honolulu Marathon.
Yeah, that is a record. Back in 1995, there were 34,434 starters. That made it the biggest in the history of the Honolulu Marathon. But this year, I think with the state contributing some money in order to promote, we did some more promotion. The Honolulu Marathon did on the mainland, and there's a whole number of thousands of young mainland runners here on the island for the first time. We have 10,000 Japanese runners. That's not as high as we've had in the past, but the yen is not as strong as it was in the past. It's like it's 150, I think, per U.S. dollar. And back in the day, it used to be like 143 last year, just to let you know. So it's higher it is, the more costly it is for the Japanese runners to come over here. But we've got 61% of the entire field is visiting. 39% are residents of Hawaii.
Yeah, we talk about sports tourism. This is the epitome of that. There's a lot of people coming here spending good money. Something that I thought was really interesting we talked about, the Japanese aren't here. It's the U.S. people coming down. And you said a lot of this has to do with the shoes.
Literally.
What does it have to do with the shoes?
What they call these super shoes, which all the brands are making right now, it literally is these carbon fiber plated thick foam midsoles, which are as light as the old training racing shoes were, but they're very supportive and very cushioning, and there's the energy return. You don't sink in as your shoe as much. It's not like running in sand, it's like running on a track, and it literally, the same effort you use to run like 6-minute pace, now you're running 4% faster. It's not you, the shoes. So what used to be a 2:10 marathon is now a 2:06 marathon.
Yeah.
So it's a 4% advantage on these shoes. And so people who have everyday 40-hour work can now train harder and not be as tired, still go to work, still go to the parties, and yet train for the marathon.
Yeah. More people are running marathons, and we welcome them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all right, good stuff. We're going to much more from the finish line as we go throughout the morning. Right now, though, let's go back into the studio with Jolani Martinez. Jolani?
Over 36,000 runners in this Honolulu Marathon. You can see some of them right now as they run past the Ala Moana Center and make their way toward Waikiki. Here is a look at Kalakaua Avenue and Kuhio Avenue. Got some runners pacing themselves and even walking. And as they continue on, here is a look at them running through the Waikiki Strip and past the shopping center there. Well, that is your first alert traffic. We'll be back with more on live Honolulu Marathon coverage in just a bit.
Welcome back to our live coverage of the Honolulu Marathon. We are expecting our first finishers in less than an hour now. Let's check out the world-class athletes that make up this year's elite field. For the men, Kenya's Paul Lanyangata returns as the Honolulu Marathon's defending champion. He ran an impressive 2:15:42 last year to take the title, but went below 2:09 early this year in Daegu. One to watch out for, his countryman, Ruben Carrillo, who finished just 30 seconds behind Lanyangata in South Korea. And for the women, Kenya's Cynthia Limo also returns to defend her championship. Last year's marathon was actually the 34-year-old's debut in the distance. It's a tight field this year, with the 4 runners from Africa all hovering around that 2:30 mark here in 2024. And nearly 34,000 people were expected at the start line this morning. Among them are Casey Lund, but he's not running. He was there to check out the scene.
Aloha, so much excitement around this event. Tens of thousands of people behind us getting ready to run, for many of them, the race of their lives. A lot of people have done this many times over. I'm here with Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke. This is so exciting being at the start of the race every year, right?
It is. And then I just talked to the organizers, 36,000 people, and the numbers just went up just in the last few days. It's very exciting.
And you know, I think one of the most beautiful parts of this event, like so many others, but this is really a pinnacle event. When we talk about international travelers, our friends from Japan Airlines, the sponsoring airline for this event, such a huge part of this race. How encouraging is it to you to see so many of our Japanese neighbors here?
I just met with the vice chairman, Shimizu. He's running right now, and he's right there.
Yeah.
And, you know, they brought in about, I think, 10,000 visitors from Japan, and this is something that they look forward to every year.
Yeah, and then just for the community itself, when we see all of our friends and neighbors all getting together and doing something really healthy, you know, this is for so many people, like I said, maybe their first marathon they've ever done, maybe it's something that they have to do every year, but what does it say about our community that this has become such a huge event?
This is something that people look forward to, and this is something that, you know, it really brings people together. And there's somebody on my staff, Audric, who's running, and so I'm hoping to cheer him on, but I don't know if I can pick him out in the middle of a 36,000 people crowd.
Awesome. And anybody else that you want to give a shout out to?
No, you know, they're always looking forward to doing something together, and, you know, I know we have a bunch of people running in this marathon, and, you know, I mean, congratulations to everyone who's been training. The weather is perfect. It's a little humid, but this is so perfect.
I tell you what, Lieutenant Governor, I'm feeling that. I said I've got to get on a bike and get my way over to the finish line. So I appreciate the time. I know you've got a busy day watching this and being a part of the festivities. So mahalo for being with us. All right.
No, terrific.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. That's going to do it from the start line here. Again, we're going to be covering the race all throughout the day right here on Hawaii News Now. I'll see you at the finish line. We'll send things back into the studio for now.
All right, thanks so much, Casey.
Yeah, all right,
cheering
lot,
all
Casey.
our friends out there, of course. Let's head back over to the finish line now, where Steve and Tony are following the leaders all morning long. Good morning, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Annalisa. In fact, Tony's doing some calculating. What do we got here?
Well, we're just the men just passed the 15-mile mark at 1:15:09. Ran another sub 5-minute mile. So, and it's still the two guys together. Ruben Carrillo from Kenya, again, the pace setter in 2022, third place finisher last year. So he's the guy with experience. Yamani Haile Selassie, who is from Eritrea, the country just north of Ethiopia, who was on asylum here in the United States. This guy was the 5th place finisher at the 2021 Tokyo Olympic steeplechase. That's that 3,000-meter steeplechase, essentially a 2-mile race, but all the barriers you got to jump over. And historically, steeplechasers have made great road racers and marathon runners because it's a strength event.
Okay. How about this? And I know strategy differs situation to situation. And maybe can we look at the two different ones that we have right here? So you have Carrillo's pulling away, and you have somebody chasing him. What does that dynamic become? How does the gamemanship play into that?
Well, just like we saw at the Kalakaua Mary Mile yesterday, where the men were trying to chase down the women. It is easier being the chaser than it is being the chased. It's either being the predator than being the prey. Because the guy who or the woman who's in back can look forward and see what they're trying to chase, and they can gauge the distance. And if I do goose it a little bit, can I get a little bit easier? How much easier can I close the gap if I want to? The person in front, unless they turn around, which they don't want to do, essentially has no feeling for where that person is or how strong that person may be. So unless the person in front is seriously strong and doesn't worry about the person behind them and feels they can put even more distance on the guy in second place, the guy in second place has got a better gauge on what's going on.
Because he can see the body language. He knows exactly what he's feeling.
Right, and as the pace goes on, well, is the guy picking it up? Is it not? I mean, how strong am I? If I want to, can I get... There's a thing called contact. Okay, you've either got contact where you're running side by side or you're right behind the guy. But if you're a few steps behind, like Yamani is right now to Cario, he's got psychological contact.
Yeah.
And the point is, when that breaks, that's the real break.
Yeah.
It's like the string unravels when it snaps. Well, right now, he's still got psychological contact, even though he's not right on the guy.
Yeah. Normally what we see is what we're seeing with the women. At this point, you would normally have a pack. So what is the strategy in that point? At what point do we see somebody pull away, or are we going to see that at all?
Well, I think that's going to be very normally like we used to see on the men's side, is they get around Hawaii Kai, start coming back down the highway. The outbound runners are now coming, and now they're cheering for you. There's that extra energy boost you get from those guys. So that's usually when you start seeing the break. When you're coming back down the highway, you can start to smell the barn, so to speak, and you start to put the pace on. Again, somebody doesn't want to have somebody with them going up past Triangle Park and then up Diamond Head. That long stretch, once you get back on, that long stretch up to Diamond Head, it's not the hill's Diamond Head, but it's upgrade all that way up to Diamond Head as well, and the people forget about that. So there's no momentum anymore. All the momentum's on the highway.
Yeah, there's so much to this, which is why I'm so glad that we get to do this, because people get to really appreciate the nuances of the sport. So, Tony, we appreciate it.
That's what it is. It's a nuanced game.
Yeah. All right, so we got more to come from the finish line here at the Honolulu Marathon. You're watching a special edition of Sunrise. We'll be right back. Look at this camera right now. We have runners still running past the Ala Moana Center and Convention Center, and as they make their way into the Waikiki area and drive along the Waikiki Strip, we're also spotting some
Oh, wrong camera. Here is a look at the Ala Moana Center, and then here is a look at the Waikiki Strip as runners make their way past all these shopping centers there. We've also see or spot some runners along Kalanianaole Highway running past Kalani High School and making their way across East Oahu. Now, let's take it back to Annalisa.
Thanks, Jelani. And there are so many inspiring runners out on the course right now. For one athlete, it's more than just a race. Kyle Chinen shares her story.
The runners will be at the starting line for the 2024 Honolulu Marathon. But for Mari Murdoch, taking her first steps along Ala Moana Boulevard will be the culmination of a long journey.
It's just pure freedom and, empowering to have that feeling of being able to go out and accomplish your goals and dreams.
Murdoch is entering her first Honolulu Marathon and has been running all of her life. But in 2017, the Minnesota native suffered what's known as a silent stroke. Like the name implies, she didn't know she was having a stroke until her sight was impacted. Murdoch lost complete vision on the left side of both eyes. But that didn't stop her from lacing up her running shoes.
I had to take time off to allow for my artery to heal. And then when I was cleared from the neurologist to start physical activity again, I went straight back into running. I took what I thought was the worst thing in my entire life and changed it into the best thing in my entire life. So you really just need to find your strength.
This is how you'd see me with full vision, but for Murdoch, this is what her field of vision looks like when she's running. So Murdoch says a guide is important when taking on the 26.2-mile marathon course.
Sidewalk, 3, 2, 1.
Michael Quinteros has only been Murdoch's guide since October, but has quickly learned to be in sync with her.
She trusts me to tell her all these visual cues around her, and it's all about communication.
And Quinteros' work is much more than just running alongside Mari.
Both of us, we need to be safe, right? So we need to have that trust and my words into her ears to be perfect.
All right, 3, that down. Woo.
While also keeping a lighthearted mood even during the most grueling parts of training.
We have a lot of fun. We're humming and singing and like joking and laughing as we're running.
Murdoch is not only tackling the marathon for personal achievement, she's running to share a message of hope for anyone who may be struggling.
I know that my stroke was fate. Looking back at everything, I know that I was meant to lose my vision because I was meant to do this, and I know that with all of my heart. I was meant to start this nonprofit and be a leader and start changing the world.
She started the nonprofit Travel Vision's Aloha for the Blind, which helps blind and visually impaired individuals through run clubs and other activities.
Her mission is so powerful, and it's all about the community. And I love what she's doing. She's empowering the blind, the vision impaired individual to go explore the world, to travel.
And for Murdoch and Quinteros, their work is just beginning. They plan to keep racking up miles for the blind and visually impaired community. First marathon, but obviously not your last, right?
Oh gosh, no.
If you'd like to contribute to Mari's organization, we've posted a link on our website. Kyle Chinen, Hawaii News Now.
Wow.
That's right, guys. What an amazing story. Mari was just so gracious with her time, talking about just what she's been through in these last couple of years, returning to running her passion, her true passion, despite not being able to see much of the course like most of the runners that you can kind of see behind me go past here in Hawaii Kai on Kalanianaole Highway. It is just the sun. I can just see it coming up in the distance over there, and you have a bunch of runners coming back behind me. As far as the elite runners, the male leader, they were just in by Hawaii Kai Costco, so they're about to make that turn. Meanwhile, the female leaders not very far behind. We saw the wheelchair athletes pass me just a little bit ago as well. So vibes are high here. We have some great people out here cheering them on. We got cowbells going. They're handing out waters, handing out wet towels. It's good vibes out here, and just a lot of the aloha spirit here for the Honolulu Marathon, as people keep coming down, and here we go. Yeah, we got some people here. I don't know if you can kind of see them, but they're making it through the marathon. For now, I'm going to send things back to the finish line. Steve, Tony.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Kyle. We just saw our wheelchair finisher just moments ago, and we're going to interview them. Yeah. We're going to get their thoughts on what the race was like. But let's update us on the men where they are with Carrio.
Well, we just got a word from the lead vehicle that Yamani Haile Selassie from Eritrea, now he has made a break. And he has now moved ahead of Ruben Carrio. Okay. And Yamani is a real interesting character. Again, he lives in Flagstaff. He's married with 2 kids, but they're back in Eritrea, and they can't join him until he becomes a U.S. citizen, and we don't know how many years that'll be. He came over with the Eritrean team to run the World Championships in track and field in Eugene, Oregon in 2022. He, along with 3 other guys and 2 coaches, sought asylum. And so now he's been training and living in Flagstaff, Arizona. Now, where he is, he delivers food as an Uber driver.
Wow.
To supplement his income from racing. But this is the first season, we talked about super shoes. Yeah. This is the first season he's wearing those super shoes in competition. He's coming off a second place finish at the 10 miler in Minneapolis, St. Paul earlier this year to Connor Mance, a top U.S. runner. He just won the BAA half marathon. The BAA, the Boston Marathon people, they put on a half marathon in November. He just won that race in 1:01:45. Wow. I mean, very fast. Yeah. So this is his first marathon in super shoes. Who knows what he's going to do? Yeah. And now at just past 15 miles, as they head into Hawaii Kai, he's made a break, and now he's in front of Ruben Carrio.
Yeah, and we talked about the amount of money that is in the purse, $25,000, and how life-changing that could be. And we'll get to that in a second. I believe Casey, we do have Casey live if that, okay, so he's interviewing, I believe, our wheelchair winner right now. So we're taking a look at that. In the meantime, I guess we'll talk a little bit more about that because you mentioned him as an Uber driver and delivering to supplement his income. $25,000, which is good money for us here in the U.S. It goes a long way for him back home.
No, I don't know the exchange rate in Eritrea. But in Kenya, again, average wage is about $2,000 a year, and I would think it's even less in a year.
Wow.
It's even less in Eritrea, much more poverty-stricken country than Kenya, which does relatively well. But imagine, I mean, that's golf money. That's tennis money. Yeah. That's real money to them. So in many ways, that allows them to race bravely because they can make so much money in comparison to what they could back home.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a quick break because we're going to get to that wheelchair winner in a second. We got much more to come here from the finish line at the Honolulu Marathon. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. As the elite field gets closer to the finish line, let's look back at the history of the Honolulu Marathon and some of the mind-blowing times we've seen over the years. Now, you'll notice a common theme here on the all-time records list for the race. The top times are all from Kenya. Titus Ekeru is the only runner to ever go sub 2:08, which he did by just a second back in 2019. In all, there have been 5 runs under 2:10 in the race's 51 years of finishes. A bit more representation on the female list, but Bridget Kosgei of Kenya stands heads and shoulders above them all. She went a blazing 2:22.15 back in 2017, clear of all the other top times by over 5 minutes. Japan's Eri Hayakawa checks in on the list at 4th. She was runner-up in the 2004 race behind Lyubov Morgunova from Russia. And some of the fastest people in the world, of course. Let's head over back to the finish line with Steve and Tony.
Yeah, and not to be outdone, our wheelchair winners, Kota Hokinoi, came in a little while ago at 1 hour, 35 minutes, 37 seconds. And then right behind him,
well, is Masazumi Sojima,
Yes.
the legendary wheeler from Japan, who ran 1:39.45, a 14-time Honolulu Marathon champion.
This was a surprise.
Well, Masazumi, if you won it 14 times, you're not 26 years old anymore. So Masazumi has been at it a long period of time. So I think Kota might be a little bit younger, but still 1:35 here on this course is very quick because you have to go over Diamond Head twice. That's a very good time.
Yeah, and maybe this goes back and we talk about the different people that are racing. Kyle did that story about a visually impaired person that was out here running. We have our wheelchair competitors, and we have all kinds of people that are doing it for the first time, people that finished dead last that aren't worried about it. This is everybody can come out and run.
Steve, I was at the hotel the other day. I saw some people who were asking me what was going on. There was a photo shoot for the milers coming up, and I said, "Oh, that's the Kalakaua Mary Mile." And I said, "Are you here in town for the marathon?" The couple said yes, and the woman, Karen Robin is her name, and her husband, Stefan. Stefan's here at the finish line, but Karen is out on the course right now. She turned 50 in January, and in celebration, they went to Norway and ran a half marathon where the snow was horizontally blowing into their face, and at that time, she said, right then, I'm bookending my year at the Honolulu Marathon. So they came from Montreal, they're here in Honolulu, and from the horizontal snow in Norway, they're here for the glory of the Aloha spirit of the Honolulu Marathon.
Yes, well, welcome. And how about that? Maybe that speaks to our record-setting numbers that we have this year, right? The 36,000 people that turned out. Because more people are now running. And if you're going to go anywhere, where are you going to go? You're going to go to Hawaii.
Well, the other thing is, I've heard for years and years, Dr. Jim Barrel and I were looking, we want to put more people want to run the Honolulu Marathon, but you have to be able to place, where can you stage that number of people, and then where can you finish them and gather them?
Yeah.
Well, because right now, when you start, the starting line after a few miles, the lead of the race comes right back to where they started the race. And if you haven't cleared the back of the pack, the head will eat the tail. So you have to, you can only put so many people on start line. So the way they've solved it is the Start to Park 10K adds 10,000 runners, but they're not going, they're coming here to the park. So that's where the extra numbers are. So you got like 2,500 people at the Kalakaua Mary Mile. You got like 10,000 people in the Start to Park 10K, and that's improving year after year after year, and like 25,000, I don't know what the official number is, and that adds up. Those 3 events, races, add up to the 36,000 we have in total for the Honolulu Marathon weekend.
Yeah, and hopefully if you're coming here for the first time, you're doing your first marathon, you do your research, because as much as Honolulu is maybe the best place and aesthetically pleasing, it's also a difficult marathon because of the humidity, because of the hills. I mean, it's not a piece of cake.
It's not a piece of cake, but there's so much support, not just from the running community, but from the people who live by the course when they finally get up and notice there's a marathon going by their house. But there's so much support here in Honolulu, and the unique thing about this event is there is no, they don't close the course. So it might take 17 hours for the last finisher to come across that line. But this finish line will be open for every last finisher of this race.
And there will people be here cheering them on to make sure that they have
that spirit
that feel coming through.
Because a lot of times you don't want to be embarrassed by going out there. You will not be embarrassed here at the Honolulu Marathon. You will be celebrated.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Okay, any update on our leaders?
No, I'm just looking. I mean, we're getting my updates. Yes, I do have Dennis Soritz. Well, the 20th mile, 1:39.45. But last time I heard, Yamani Haile Selassie had a 10-second lead at the 30-kilometer mark. And we'll go back to them and find out if that is stretched out or closed up a little bit in the meantime.
Okay, I believe we're taking a look right here. Wow, okay.
There we go. There's the lead.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he runs for Adidas.
I don't even see Ruben anywhere near him.
No, you know, that's what I said. When the string breaks, it has a tendency to unravel.
So do you think the Carrio's strategy of breaking out early is kind of backfired at this point?
I'd say that it's called bite him in the butt. Oof. Is what happened. And yeah, he made a 4:38 mile at the 15th, in that 11th mile. Is extraordinarily fast for any mile, much less that mile that early on. And now, when he could want that energy back, it's gone and used up.
Yeah, and meanwhile, our leader at this point was able to sit back, kind of watch where Carrio was, and see what his body was telling him about how much energy Carrio had left. And then when he wanted to make his move, he was able to make his move.
And when he sensed the moment was right for him, then he made a move and pulled away. And now he's got all that support from those outbound runners. Can't believe how fast the guys in front of him are going as we look at our women's pack.
Yeah, are we down to 3?
We're down to 3 right now, and that is Judith Career.
Oh, no, we do have 4. We do have 4.
She's tucked in, right? Okay, right. Well, I know that Judith, the woman in lead on the right-hand side of the screen, that is Judith Career, and she's an interesting story because she was second place, silver medalist at the 2022 World Championships in Eugene, Oregon, 2:18:20. And she ran another 2:18:43 later in the year. And then from then on, she's gone downhill. And she's hoping to regain her form here in Honolulu. And so far, it looks good. But Cynthia Limo in there, Judith Career, and also Fatu Galasa and Sandra Fellis-Tue. Those are the 4 women.
I can't wait to see what happens in just a little bit.
They've been together the entire race.
Yeah. All right. We're going to come back to the elite runners. We're going to hear from our wheelchair racers. That's all coming up here from the Honolulu Marathon. Right now, though, we're going to take a quick break.
Welcome back to our live coverage of the Honolulu Marathon. The first marathon athletes have crossed the finish line. Our Casey Lunn caught up with the winner of this year's wheelchair race.
Just want to ask him how it was feeling crossing the finish line this morning.
今日の朝ゴールの瞬間いかがでしたか？
すごく、きつかったんですけど、沿道からの応援もすごい大きくて、きつい時に踏ん張りました。
It was a little bit tough today, but all the people around the road is helping him, so to give the energy to finish up.
Yeah, what makes this marathon so special? Why did you want to come here to Hawaii to compete in this race?
どうしてこのホノルルマラソンにご参加することになったか。
そうですね。2024年いろいろな大会に出たいなと思って、結構7つか8つぐらい今年走ってですね。初マラソンがケープタウンマラソンとホノルルマラソンで、はい。
So the 2024, he wanted to attend as many as possible the marathon, and he started with the Cape Town, and then now it's in the Honolulu Marathon. So that's why he's here.
Is this the last one of the year?
これが今年最後のマラソンですか？
そうですね。はい。出し切りました。
This is the last one for this year.
Any plans to enjoy Hawaii now that you're done with the race and enjoy the beautiful place that you're in?
もう今マラソンフィニッシュなさったんですけど、この後ホノルルで少しでも遊ぶ時間はありますかね？
そうですね。3日ぐらいいる予定なので、軽くこれでジョグしながら美味しいものを食べて、楽しみたいなと思います。
So he'll be staying for another 3 days or so. So he's trying to enjoy the city and try the local food as possible.
Very good. Congratulations. Arigato. Arigato. And that's Kora Inoue, the top male finisher for the wheelchair athletes. Again, just a little under a minute or an hour 30. Really spectacular to see those athletes and what they're able to do competing in this race. Absolutely stunning moment, and he's the first athlete to make it across the finish line. Great start to the finishers coming across the finish line. We'll be here throughout the morning. We'll send things back to you guys.
And congrats to him. Hope he enjoys all that local food. And for most of us, finishing one marathon would be a huge accomplishment. But for a pair of particularly persistent runners, today marks 52. Jelani Martinez explains.
Also a way to remember my late father, who got us going in this activity.
And that activity Gerald Chun's father signed him and his siblings up for was the first Honolulu Marathon in 1973. That's 14-year-old Chun on the far left. Their dad's nickname was Hunky, and they were a blended family of 8. That's why they're sporting shirts that say the Hunky Bunch. Since then, Chun has taken on the streets of Oahu every single year. He even ran 26.2 miles on his treadmill during the pandemic.
That was hell.
And even when Chun lived on the East Coast, snowstorms couldn't keep him from missing the annual race.
For whatever reason, it worked out.
Of course, a lot has changed since the first Honolulu Marathon.
There were no cool running shoes like they have today. I mean, in fact, there were still people running barefoot in some of those early marathons.
65-year-old Chun says his 14-year-old self wouldn't believe he's still taking on the running challenge.
I'm thankful to still be standing.
The neuroscientist isn't the only one that returns to finish the race every year.
I will be starting, and I hope I will be finishing.
For Gary Dill, it all started as a dare after a hearty Thanksgiving dinner in 1973.
As a spoof, my roommate comes out with the sports page of the advertiser back then, and it had an entry blank for the first ever Honolulu Marathon. And if you finish within 5 hours, this is put on by the running club, by the way, you get a free T-shirt. Oh, T-shirt, Honolulu, I finished Honolulu Marathon, a T-shirt for $2.
And Dill's motivation to run hasn't changed. Why do you continue to run in the Honolulu Marathon every year?
The T-shirt. The T-shirt.
Dill's got quite the collection, including the first medal that was given to runners in 1988.
Oh, kept on for another 15 years or so. The only real difference is being what was printed on it.
Despite injuries and health problems, 80-year-old Dill, a former rugby player, persevered through it all to complete the race, like when he had the flu at the 20th annual Honolulu Marathon.
And I looked up at the clock and I realized I'd been sleeping for like 2 hours. Sleeping on a stone wall in the middle of my...
Dill and Chun were inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2007 and then honored in 2022 for running the race 50 times. But to them, it's more than just keeping the streak going.
It's indescribable, but it's the human spirit, I guess, cooperativeness, camaraderie.
It really is a celebration of life, fellowship. That those relationships, they all really matter, especially as you get older. And here's something that ties it all together.
Jolani Martinez, Hawaii News Now.
Wow, Jelani, so inspiring.
Right?
Go, Gary and Hunky Bunch.
Yeah, let's go. You guys got
You have
this.
to follow up and see how they did.
For one, Annalisa, it's a tradition, and for the other, well, it's for the t-shirt. This was so much fun to cover. But as far as the Honolulu Marathon this year, we spotted some runners over at the Ala Moana Center, passing by the convention center, and then making their way into the Waikiki Strip. Here is a look as hundreds of them stroll and dash through the Waikiki Strip and really make their way toward the Duke Kahanamoku statue. Then here's a look at some supporters along the sidewalk or along the roadway cheering them on. So cute. Then they are also making their way farther into East Oahu. Here's a look at Kalani Anaole Highway and Ainakoa Drive as they make their way past Kalani High School. That is your first alert traffic. We'll be back with more on the 2024 Honolulu Marathon after the break.
At this point, we have a clear leader for the men. I think the women are far more interesting. We have a 4-person pack, and only one of them has run the marathon, this marathon, before. How much of an advantage is that for her?
Well, that's a big advantage. But when you add all the advantages up, give me the person who's the most fit on this morning, December 8th, 2024. Whoever's got the most fuel on this day, irrespective of experience or anything else, that's the person who has the biggest advantage. But all other things being equal,
morning, gang. Aloha.
On the course is
first females.
Because you can project ahead and know exactly how to apportion your energy from where you are now, and the women are just at 20 miles. That last 6.2 miles, she knows exactly how the road plays out and how best to use her energy over that stretch of land.
Ethiopian lady.
See how that plays out.
20 miles coming up on the back.
And yet at the same time, this is only her third competitive marathon. Last year's marathon in Honolulu was her debut. That was the first time she'd ever run the marathon. Now, she ran another one this past year, and she just did the Nairobi Marathon in September in 2 hours and 28 minutes as a long run training effort. That was just a long run at 7,000 feet altitude. So that tells me she's in really fine form. Yes. But then again, Judith Career, the tall lady in the field right now, she's a 2:18 marathoner who's been a silver medalist at the World Championship as recently is 2022. So that's a hell of a credential.
Yeah, the strength and the stamina of these athletes is unbelievable. Right now, though, let's get over to the men. Drew Davis is out there monitoring how things are playing out. Drew?
Hey Steve, hey Tony, we're in the Kahala area right now. We're really watching an incredible race. We've got Yamani out in first, and I'm also here with Dr. Jim Barahal. Jim, this has been an awesome race so far. What can you tell us about the current leader Yamani and Ruben behind him?
We're literally right next to him. We could reach out and touch him. He's running right next to us. We're coming through Kahala. He's got about, it looks to me like about a 20-second lead right now for Ruben Carriot. The race broke up on the highway, a series of sub-5-minute miles, the fastest one being 4 minutes, 44 seconds. Busted this race wide open on the highway. But, you know, Ruben Carriot was hanging in there. But Haile Selassie looks very good. We're heading towards Diamond Head. And if Ruben Carriot can't catch him by the hills, I think this race is over. Great performance here by Yamani, and it looks like he's going to be the winner of this race, and this pace is going still pretty fast here.
All right, thank you, Jim. This has been an amazing race so far. Yamani is out in the lead. Let's take it over to the women leader.
Enjoy the race.
Billy
See you
B.
later. Woo-hoo!
Thank you very much, Drew. We've had some changes happening here over on Kalanianaole Highway just after Aina Toya.
Yes, we just had Fantu, our Ethiopian runner, drop off right before 20 miles. So right now, the last three ladies are all together. We have Judith is still kind of controlling the race. I noticed that she'll pull away. The ladies try to catch up to her, but all three ladies are still together right now. But the big change was Fantu. She's dropping farther and farther back, but it happened right before we hit 20 miles.
20 seconds. What's happening in their heads right now?
Right now, I think now they're racing. Before you saw that they were all together. They felt so great. They were just cooking off miles. Right now, they look controlled. However, going through their heads is, okay, I want to win this. I'm going to stay controlled. I'm at 20 miles, so let's see how much I have left.
Tony and Steve, let's get back to you at the finish line.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Billy. You guys see so much more subtlety than we do. So your wife is talking about somebody controlling the pack. I just see three women together. So what are we not seeing?
Well, she's been watching the race since the get-go when all four women together, but there's, again, the subtle is that, well, who's in front? Who seems to be controlling the pace?
Okay.
And who's setting the tempo? And for the longest time, it was Judith Carrier, the taller woman on the right of the screen as you were watching. In the blue is our defending champion, Cynthia Limo. Now she has gone slightly into the front, and she seems to be beginning to press the issue. Just look, Fantu Galesa from Ethiopia has now dropped off, the first one to drop off at 20 miles. So now that is really like, okay, everyone gets high alert. One of us is gone. So it's like 10 little Indians down. Okay, now 9, 8, now 7. Now there's down to 3. And the point is now Cynthia Limo, the defending champion, who's in fine form, is beginning to just put a little bit of pressure on those other two. Yeah. See how they respond.
Yeah.
And that's the key. How do they respond to this slight increase in tempo? If they go right away, maybe she'll back off a little bit. But now the games are being played. Who's going to start pressing the issue? Who's going to respond? How quickly, etc.
And again, we should see what happens because Cynthia is the one that has all the experience.
Great race. Great race on the women's side and a beautiful runaway on the men's.
Yeah. All right, we got more to come here from the finish line at the Honolulu Marathon. You're watching a special edition of Sunrise. We'll be right back.
A live look now in the Kahala area, just past the halfway point of this year's Honolulu Marathon. Runners have now been on the course for more than 2 hours now, and that's enough time that the elite field is starting to get close to the finish as we get set to crown some champions. Aloha, I'm Annalisa Burgos. Thanks for joining us here. Let's check in with Jelani Martinez in the First Alert Traffic Center for a look around the course. Jelani.
Yes, thank you, Annalisa. Very exciting for the 2024 Honolulu Marathon. Now let's take a flyover of the marathon course so you can see just how far these amazing athletes will run. It all started on Ala Moana Boulevard, right next to Ala Moana Beach Park. Runners then start off east, passing Aloha Tower, before a westward turn through downtown and past Iolani Palace. After passing Ala Moana Center and the Convention Center, the course goes through Waikiki and into Kapi'olani Park. There, the marathoners will say farewell to the 10K racers before continuing around Diamond Head and then through Kaimuki and into the Kahala area. A long stretch down Kalani'anaole Highway is done in both directions after a turnaround point in Hawaii Kai as runners head back east. The grueling hills around Diamond Head once again await them as they push forward toward the final downhill stretch into Kapi'olani Park, where they are met by the cheering fans at the finish line. Now, let's get back over to the finish line, where the fastest of the fast will soon approach. There we find Steve and Tony. Good morning.
Yeah, all right. Thanks a lot, Jelani. We've been told about just under 5 minutes, and we're going to have Yamane Haile Selassie come across the finish line.
Right. They're past 40 kilometers. They're crested Diamond Head already, with thousands of people in their 8th mile are cheering for the man in his final mile. And it just shows the speed differential between the front of the pack and the back of the pack.
So it's really interesting because the way it started on, the way it's materialized, Yamane was actually in 2nd place, and it kind of, Ruben Carrillo was the one that kicked things off, and that strategy kind of backfired on him, huh?
The guy with the most experience on the course sort of got overly caffeinated or something, going out the highway, dropped an incredibly fast 4:38 mile in the 11th mile, got a bit of a gap, but nothing, as they say, dispositive. It wasn't enough to break Yamane, and Yamane just sort of kept him on the end of that line like a fish, like it was, and finally reeled him in, ran with them, and when he felt the moment was his at 15, he took off. And on the way back down the highway, he took off and established a lead, which has grown to over 30 seconds now. It was 33 seconds just about a mile ago. But the tendency is for that, as that lead opens, it opens like a head wound. It gapes. It finally just splits wide open. So he's got a lead now of something like a minute and 40 seconds on the 3rd place finisher, who is Ruben Carrillo in 2nd place, and Kensuke Horio from Japan is in 3rd place.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the live video right there, you can't even see Ruben. I mean, he's so far back. Yamane has got such a commanding lead at this point.
33, and it's like over 2.5 minutes on Horio in the 3rd place position.
Really interesting. When you talk about staying with somebody and then somebody dropping off for a little bit, that usually once you drop off, you're done. You're not coming back. You're not making another search to come back.
You're not dropping back by choice. Okay. You can no longer match the effort of the person in front who's pressing that pace and trying to break away. Now, what you do is you'll have a really bad patch, as they call it. You have a bad patch where you really feel poorly, and you have to regroup. Now, you might start feeling good again, but by that time, it's too late to do anything about it. Yeah. All you can hope is the guy in front has made an error himself in judgment, and he will sometimes collapse as well, but it doesn't look like Yamane's anywhere near that. He's still looking at full stride.
It doesn't. You know, at this point, let's check it with Drew Davis, who is right in front of Yamane. Drew, how's it look?
Hey Steve, hey Tony, we are currently almost to the end. I'm with Dr. Jim Barahal. Yamane is still in the lead, but Ruben is close behind. Jim, what can you tell us right at the finish? We've still got a race?
We still have a race. They're both in the park right now. It looks to me like about a 10 to 12 seconds. Yamane looks good. He's still moving very quickly. I mean, Ruben has made a desperate comeback here after getting dropped. He has not given up. They're both in the park right now. And the way it looks right now, Yamane's going to win this race, but Ruben is really, really working. You see Ruben moving his arms and desperately trying to catch up. We could still have a race to the finish line here. It's getting closer and closer by the second, but if Yamane can hang on, he's going to win this race.
What is the likelihood that Ruben catches up before the end of the race.
It's hard to say. He would have to go into a full-out kick, and it's very hard to do after 26 miles. I think he's got to get within about 5 to 7 seconds. I think he might be a little too far away right now, and Yamani has not faltered at all. It's been an amazing race all the way down the highway. Yamani broke away, but Ruben has hung in there, and we've seen as we've gone through Kahala that he keeps closing that gap. You'll see them coming, but Yamani's still running strong. I think he's got enough of a lead to hang on here, but let's give him a big hand there in the park. It's going to be unbelievable to watch this finish.
Yeah, it's really been absolutely unbelievable. And how much longer do we have until the finish? How much further do we have?
1 minute.
1 minute until the end. Coming up with Yamani still in the lead, Ruben right behind him. But like you said, Jim, it seems like it might be Yamani's race.
Yeah, I think he's got it. As we get closer and closer, the gap seems to be staying steady. I think Ruben's going to go on the wrong kick, but I would expect Yamani to kick as well. I think Yamani's going to win this race. He'll be a great champion.
And we're going to send it back to Steve and Tony at the desk. Thank you again, Jim.
Yeah, Drew, Jim, great job. Oh, and here we are. They should be coming across anytime now, any moment. But
2:11:03 on the clock and counting.
Okay, here we come. Here we come.
It's a long stretch, that final stretch in the park.
We saw Yamani take a look behind his shoulder, because at that point he might not have known that Ruben was making a charge.
And here's Yamani Haile Selassie is going to barely hold off Ruben Carrillo to win the 2024 Honolulu Marathon.
Yeah, you can see him. The final stretch.
But Carrillo did make a comeback.
He did.
He got that good patch in his legs, but he just had too much territory. It opened up, and he couldn't quite close that gap all the way. First time an Eritrean winner of the Honolulu Marathon.
This is the first time?
First time for an Eritrean champion.
Oh, wow, look.
Dominated by Kenyan athletes. A couple of years ago, we had an Ethiopian, but finally an Eritrean athlete.
Oh, and you can see Yamani taking a look behind, realizing what he's done, and realizing that the title is now his.
2:11:59 unofficially the winning time. Yamani Haile Selassie. Ruben Carrillo, third place last year on the podium, moves up one step in 2024. And he comes across the line in 2:12:16 essentially, so about a 17-second victory. That was what a race.
That was incredible. That was wonderful to watch. My goodness.
And Kensuke Horio from Japan was the third place on paper that we saw at the 40-kilometer mark on our computer.
Do we have an update on the women at this point? We still have
10-second
person back.
Here, I'm going to Latoya, but she's sending me details here. Wow. Still together at 22 miles. Both grabbed drinks and they're still together. 23 miles, both still together. So we had a two-man race, kind of a 1.5-man race there at the end,
right?
With the gap that was closing. But now we've got this two-woman race. We had a four-woman race the whole way, down to 3, now down to 2. And in many ways, it's been a really spirited day of competition.
Yeah, we saw the exhaustion on the face of Yamani over there, but obviously the joy as well, knowing that he's made history. As
this is huge. This is huge for him because he can send money back home.
But also, right? I mean, you talked about the $25,000. I mean, that's life changing.
He was here to win this race because it meant so much to him. So he really had to perform well because Ruben Carrillo pressed him all the way to the finish. So he really had to earn this title.
Which is something I think for a second there we thought that Ruben had actually really fallen back. Were you surprised? And maybe
at 35 he did. He had fallen back by 33 seconds.
Yeah. So to make that kind of a charge late, that's kind of a rarity, right?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that, but again, it being behind, once you start feeling good again, now you can. He never got out of sight. In other words, Ruben never let Yamani get out of his visual contact. Right. So when he finally started feeling good again, he could start reeling him in, just like Yamani reeled Ruben in earlier out on the highway. Yeah. So it really was a dogfight back and forth.
Yeah. Again, the sportsmanship, the gamesmanship, all the strategy. It's fascinating. We're gonna have more to come. We're gonna check in with the women as well, and we're gonna talk to Yamani coming up in a little bit. So stay with us. You're watching the special edition of Sunrise at the Honolulu Marathon.
All
right, well, welcome back. We're here on set with Yamane Haile Selassie, the winner of the Honolulu Marathon. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Oh, it's tough. Yeah. When I reached in halfway, my leg is starting to bleeding, and you know, I was leading the group, but I stay consistent in the race. Yeah, and I focus to win. I resist a lot. Yeah, it's very tough course today.
Your feet were hurting you?
Very hurting. Both my feet, see.
By blisters on the soles of his feet, as Paul Simon would say.
Yeah.
But what does it mean to you to win this marathon? I know how important it is. You're on asylum here in the United States. You're with your family back home in Eritrea. I know this was really your focus of a long time to win this marathon. So how does it feel to actually accomplish this big goal?
Yeah, I was excited to come here, and you know, I'm new familiar with the marathon. Just I ran with my first time in Boston. Now is I'm focusing to marathons and half marathons. Yeah, I have a big vision to run a big time and to win some couple of races. I know some issues with my situation, but yeah, I need to resist that. It's my profession, so I'm going working.
Well, you look great out there. Ruben Carrillo had the lead for a while, and you were able to hang back and kind of watch him.
Yeah.
And before you made your move, what was going through your mind, and what were you watching with him, his body language that told you it was time?
Yeah, when we ran together, the pace was a little bit slow for me, and when his lead, I know he pushed before the halfway, so it's very tough to finish alone like 30K. So I know to catch him in at least in the halfway, and from halfway I need to take the decision, you know. I lead a little bit, and I wide the gap. Yeah, that's.
But did you know that he was closing the gap in the final 2 kilometers?
Yeah, you know, in the final 2 kilometers is all getting tired, you know, it's tough to get accelerate. So I got the surge in the halfway, you know, for him, and I focused to just keep focusing the gap.
You're glad the marathon is not 45 kilometers, only 42 kilometers.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. I wish it's 40.
You talked about your feet bleeding, and we can see the blisters on the bottom. But when we watched you run, nothing seemed to be changing.
I was suffering, you know. Just, you know, I'm going to cross the line, but I suffering a lot, almost the halfway. Yeah, it's worse, you know.
Yamane, the marathon in many ways is a mind game as much as physical.
Yeah, mine is better than physical, you know. You have to pay attention, you have to focus, you have to calculate the pace, how you're going, you know. Yeah, it's especially mentally.
Yeah. How does your performance compare to what you had hoped to do? Is this better than what you had hoped?
Yeah, you know, this is tough, very humid. Actually, the course is good, but it's very warm, very humid. Just focusing the pace, you don't need mistakes in the way. So I need for the other races, little bit fast like Houston or Chicago. It's much better to run fast.
Beautiful effort. Only his second marathon. He debuted in Boston earlier this year, and again he had problems because he had with shoes, and he only ran 2 hours and 16 minutes. Came here at Honolulu with the goal of winning the race. Had to fight for it, but made the title his. Congratulations, Yamane.
Yes, congratulations, Yamane.
Thank you.
Yes. All right,
rest well.
We got more to come from the Honolulu Marathon, including the female winners and female leaders coming up in just a little bit. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Selassie came across the finish line. Just a joy to talk to. Obviously, you saw the physical impact that's had on his body, but I mean, obviously his spirit is high and he's feeling really good.
No, there's nothing like victory to salve the wounds of battle.
Well said.
And he will, you know, it'll be painful for a few days, but it'll be a memory that pain will not diminish.
Yeah. So if we're looking at the female side of things, it was a 4-person pack, then it went down to 3, there's 2, and now we have a clear leader.
And now Cynthia Limo looks well on her way to taking her second title in a row, and we were just wondering when was the last time that was done. And we could have Bridget Kosgei from Kenya in 2016 and 2017, went back-to-back. And the 2 years before that, Joyce Chepkarui in 14 and 15 was a back-to-back champion. So Cynthia Limo is going to join very, very high-quality company.
And we just talked a little while ago about being in that pack and knowing what was coming next and how big an advantage that was, and it seems to be paying off at this point.
Well, Toya sent me a note from the lead vehicle saying that both of them went to get their water bottles at the last aid station. Cynthia got hers, Sandra Fellas didn't, and Cynthia then pulled free. And a lot of times I will look at water stations late in the race to see how easily or how difficult it is for somebody to grab their bottle. You lose your coordination late in the race. The blood is all in your legs, and you're not as coordinated as you were. So when somebody can snatch their bottle quickly, they're still well composed. They're still well within themselves. Yes. So the fact that Cynthia could grab her bottle, no problem. Sandra Fellas couldn't. That could have been the sign.
All right. So your wife Toya is along with Billy V, monitoring the female lead, or monitoring Cynthia at this point. Right. Let's check it with them.
She's in lead by more than.
Thank you very much, Steve, Tony, and we are watching as the leader makes the way downhill. It's a downhill run to the finish line from here.
Yes, a lot happening here in the women's race. Just before 39K, the ladies went for their fluids, their carbs, and their drinks. And it looked like everyone was going to be fine, except Cynthia got hers. Sandra Fellas did not. And psychologically, I think that broke her. And Cynthia just took off and ran. So right now, as you can see, she's running full flight, full stride, just trying to hurry up and get to the finish. She looks great. I think that last bit of fluid really helped her. And like I said, psychologically, Sandra Fellas just said, okay, I didn't get my bottle. I'm not going to really try anymore. That's exactly, it looked like that's what happened.
As we were passing, a lot of the people are going outbound towards Hawaii Kai, and a lot of the crowds are cheering. And of course, we got the crowd coming up at the finish line. How much does that propel you, even though you know you're out in the front?
Oh, that really helps. I mean, when you really assess how you feel, I think that's what she did at that last stop when she got her fluids. And she said, okay. And then she realized that her other competitor was not really going to try. She just said, okay, let me go. And with the crowd, I mean, so many people out here cheering for her, that really helps.
Okay, we're getting a little bit far from our camera here, so we're waiting for, I'm hoping that our audio is going to be okay. Real quickly here, going through the Kahala area, talk about that when it was a 2-woman race. How did it look to you right then before they got their water bottles?
Oh, it looked great. I mean, they were just clicking off the miles. Everyone felt great until the fluid station. That's when everything just blew up. Unfortunately, Sandra Fellas did not get it. She just kind of shrugged her shoulders, kept going, but that was enough, I think, to break her.
Okay, and now as we are approaching the straightaway pretty much here, coming up to the finish line, what's the feeling as a professional runner, as coming up to this point, what does it feel like?
Oh my God, if you're feeling great, you're just so excited, you know you have it. She hasn't really turned around to look to see what the distance is, but you can tell her form is just great, her stride is great, everything looks great. She's like just trying to come home. So psychologically, it's just no pressure. Let me just push to the finish.
All right, we are getting into that last gentle turn before we get into the final straightaway here for the women's race for the 52nd annual Honolulu Marathon. Once again, our leader right now, we'll say, is just looking good. Lots of people cheering her as she makes. Any last words here on the women's race?
Last words were the beginning of the race. It was anyone's race. Everyone looked so great. And even as we got closer to 30K, it looked great. 39K, that's when everything broke up, but it was a great race. I mean, there was not really an alpha who just took off and left everyone behind. So for the women's race, it really was a really good matchup.
For Honolulu, this had to be a great morning of weather, and if you're a runner, is it good?
Oh, it was perfect. We didn't really have any wind, no rain, and it was pretty chilly at the start, and you could feel as we were coming up Diamond Head, it was getting a little, coming down Diamond Head, getting a little more humid, but it was like perfection for Hawaii.
All right, so you know what? She's coming around that last turn. She's about to hit the straightaway. Let's go ahead with the call. Let's take you back to the finish line with Steve Uehara and Tony Rivas.
Yeah, actually, they're right behind us, which is really crazy to think. If there's anything that I've learned over the past 3 years, Tony, is that when you got your pen out and you're jotting down notes, you've got something good. What are we?
No, I'm just looking at Cynthia's bio sheet that I've got. And remember, last year she came to Honolulu for her debut marathon.
Yes.
Her coach and manager from Lansing, Michigan, Owen Anderson, died November 26th.
I remember
that.
Yes.
And then also, she's got two daughters. Anne is 5 and Rebecca is 3. But her oldest child, Blessed, died about 10 years ago while Cynthia was at the pinnacle of her career. In 2014, she won 12 out of 13 races. Between 2012 and 2016, she was either first or second in 43 of her 51 races. I mean, she was an absolute killer. When her daughter, Blessed, died before her second birthday, her mom went into a tailspin. I mean, she went into an understandably so. She went into a long tailspin emotionally and was no longer the runner she was. She returned to competition in November of 2022 at the BAA Boston Half Marathon and then came here to Honolulu. So she had so much emotional baggage with her last year, which she's been freed up a little bit this year in memory of Owen Anderson, in memory of her daughter, Blessed.
Yes.
So it just goes to show that these lives, which seem to be so special when you're given all this talent as an athlete, they're quite, lives are much more complex.
Yeah, and if you talk about the marathon as the ultimate endurance sport, and you think about just what she's endured, so much more than just what goes on out there on the pavement, but also that, which is what makes this show so great, is that we get to know the athletes a little bit more and actually get to tell their story and even tell the story of the race itself, because it's so much different from just standing at the finish line and watching these people come through. There's so much to this.
See, a lot of times people say you broadcast marathons, and I said yes. What do you say? They're just running.
Well, they don't know. They don't know
so much. So Cynthia now is 34 years of age. She lives in E10, Kenya, and now she's going to win her second straight Honolulu Marathon about 2 minutes faster than she ran last year.
There she is.
Cynthia Limo, 2:31.15 unofficially.
Yeah.
Victory number 2 in her 4th career marathon. And not far behind Sandra Fellis
She does not look
2A.
exhausted at all.
We will talk to her shortly, and here comes Sandra Fellis 2A in second place.
You know, and I know you mentioned the water stations, and I know you mentioned that it was a telltale sign that she wasn't able to use the mechanics of her body. But how often does something like that happen in a race like this?
Oh, you know, it happens a lot. I mean, the point is, you're at some point you become a forward motion machine. That's all you've got left is going forward. You can't even sometimes use like some spit or snot on your face. You don't even have the ability to wipe that off. I mean, all you can do is take one step in front of another. And even reaching out to the side and trying to break stride, you just don't have the capabilities anymore. Yeah. So much of your energy has been taken from you. That you're a shell of the person you were at the start of the race. It really does. Super shoes notwithstanding.
Right.
This is still a difficult event.
And you look at her. She's smiling. She's laughing. She looks glorious. As much as grueling as this race has been, it looks like it had no impact on her. I know that's obviously not the case, but I mean, she held it together so well all the way up until the very final moment.
Well, victory has a great meaning, and now she's got her second one here in Honolulu. It's a great day, great champion, great races on both sides.
Yes.
Both coming down to the wire. Actually, from a standpoint of a long run competition, the women were a much more exciting race because it was 4 women all the way. and then 3, then 2. But the men's race turned into a two-man battle pretty early on. But then those two guys, even though there was separation first from Carrio and then from Yamane, neither one could get away far enough where it was an easy victory for Yamane, and Carrio, taxed him all the way.
I am curious, had Carrio not taken that risk so early on, would we have seen more of a pack? Would we see maybe a couple of other guys stay in contention, whereas I guess he kind of forced the hand of Yamane, and then Yamane took over from there, or was it just bound to be these two from the very beginning?
I think it was, because Kensuke Horio in third place was like 3 minutes behind.
Oh, okay.
So, but I think Carrio, if he hadn't run that super fast mile at the 11th mile, would have had more energy later to combat Yamane when he made his big push down the highway.
All right. We're gonna let Cynthia take a quick break right now, but we're gonna talk to her in a little bit. So you stay tuned. You're watching a special edition of Sunrise here at the Honolulu Marathon. Here she is, Cynthia Limo, back-to-back Honolulu Marathon winner. How are you feeling?
I do feel good.
Yeah?
Yes.
At what point did you know this was your race?
At 30, around 39.
39K.
Yes.
My wife was in the lead vehicle, and she said, you got your last bottle.
Yes.
But that Sandra Fellis did not get her bottle.
Yes.
And that could be that could be very hard on your psyche.
Yes, of course.
And so you got your bottle, so you felt did you know that was the time?
That I'm going to win?
Yep.
Yes, as from 40K, I was seeing that there's possibility of me winning. So I had to push and keep myself pushing and going for it.
Now, there was 4 women the entire race.
Yes.
And then 3, then 2, and then yourself. What were you thinking when the 4 women were all together? Were you just happy to have company and just let the kilometers go by?
I was so somehow worried because from the beginning, the 4 ladies could look that they were very strong, and everyone could not try to lag behind because everybody seems to be very strong and going for the winning. So I was somehow worried because I knew they were going to pay just top 3. Then I know the Honolulu people are very eager to watch me being in front, but I was telling myself I have to fight to the end. But since when we was going with the 4 ladies, after every kilometer you could see everybody struggling. But towards the 32 kilometers. The Ethiopian lady like behind, and now we were 3 ladies. The Kenyan ladies were to lead in front, but I think at around 36 or after 35K, that lady from Kenya remained behind, and we were 2. Now we had to push, and the second lady was so strong again. So I was telling myself, even if she wins, it's okay. But
Did you have a weak moment where you thought that she was going to break away from you?
She seems to be very strong, and you will not even realize that she will not win. She seems to be strong more than even me.
And she's probably thinking the same thing about you.
But also I was telling myself, even if she wins, it's okay. I'll be the second. But something tells me in my mind, no, you have not to give up. You have to go to the end. You have to fight to the last kilometer.
And you fought. Tony and I were talking about if all things are equal and it's the 4 of you going down the stretch, you have the experience because you're the only one that has run this marathon before. How much did that help knowing that you knew what to expect?
Yes, if we had to come like 4 ladies, that could be very hard because you see, even if you have the experience, there's somebody who has the last stretch. Right. And she can beat you even if you have the only key thing is that it's good that you go ahead, maybe even a kilometer ahead or 2 kilometers. You give yourself a distance so that you can fight to win. But you cannot go as a team to the last. You cannot win. You can't.
It all worked out beautifully.
I know.
Because everyone has our own tactics of winning. Yeah. Somebody can be stretching, somebody can do any way of running, and she can win.
You mentioned that you had to fight. You kept having that mental battle with yourself. You got to fight today. You got to fight today. Where does that come from? What gives you that strength to keep fighting?
You know, last year it was my first debut here on Honolulu. I can say Honolulu has opened a great doors for me. Though it's a hot race, a lot of humidity, but back in my mind, it gives me a lot of courage and motivates me because being my first debut marathon, Honolulu, I can say it opened a lot of doors to me because it was my first debut marathon, and since being my first debut marathon, my second marathon in Hamburg, I ran 2:25, and back in Kenya, I ran 2:28, and coming back here again winning, I can say Honolulu is the best place. I just want to thank all the organizers, all the race organizers, the entire team, the race coordinators, the spectators, and the entire community of Honolulu for giving me another chance to come back to Honolulu and coming again, not letting them down, but to come with a good, great win and also improving my time compared to last year. Yeah. I know it's good place.
And when she's through running, she could broadcast the race too.
That's right.
She's got you explained it beautifully.
Yeah. And so I guess you got to come back and defend it again next year, right?
Yes, that's my prayer because Honolulu is good. They are good people for me, and I hope so. Even next year, God is going to give me more strength, even to improve more time than this year. Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Cynthia. Delightful.
Yes. Thank you.
Wasn't she a delightful champ? Just like Yamani, except her feet felt good.
Yeah. So if Honolulu is good for her, she is great for Honolulu.
Oh.
It'll be great to have her come back again next year, and we'll see if she can get a third one.
What a wonderful spirit.
Yeah. All right. So we got more to come here on a special edition of Sunrise. Right now, though, let's take.
What's going on, guys? Yeah, you just heard the female winner there at the finish line, but I'm here by Waialaike Park here on Kalanianaole Highway, and you know, this is really a big wave of people have just been coming by me over here heading into Hawaii Kai. I'm gonna step out of frame here so you can just see some of the runners, just the mass of people out here enjoying. There were a lot of spectators here cheering everybody on. There's handing out water. Say hi to the camera, guys. Aloha, aloha. Yeah. So this is really where, you know, the vibes are high. The elite runners have run the course, and this is really the people. This is the spirit of the Honolulu Marathon. We talked about it earlier in the show. No stop time, no end time. They're really out here enjoying themselves, getting a good workout in, hitting the course like the elites just did, and it's been so much fun. You know, I got to see, there were a couple of spectators here that were in sumo costumes. I was like, oh, what's up, twin? But anywho, it's fun out here. It's all good vibes, and you know, we just keep seeing so many people. We keep talking about that record number of entries, but it's very evident here on Kalaniana Ole Highway. For now, I'm going to send things back to you guys.
And actually, Kyle, I think I'm going to take things over here from the finish line, and thank you for that report. I know it's always fun getting those updates from out in the field. We had Drew Davis, we had Billy V, and then Kyle out there on the east side. So I want to give you a little behind the scenes here at the finish line. By the way, they've not started handing out medals yet. That happens a little later, but you can see those tents. SGC, those are the folks in Japan. We toured their facility. They handcraft those medals. They designed the Honolulu medals. Those finisher medals are solid gold, by the way. Of course, most of the folks that get the normal medal, those are not solid gold, but still an accomplishment, still a trophy, still a treasure for those people. I want to take you around a little bit, though, and show you some more behind the scenes. Of course, this is the finish line where we've seen our elite athletes, our wheelchair athletes coming in. I want to introduce you to some special friends, though. Ali and Julie Chu, they are former Miss Hawaii's dear friends of mine. Ladies, how are we doing this morning?
Doing great.
Very good. So you beautiful gals have been tasked with a pretty fun job. Tell me a little bit about your responsibilities here at the finish line. Not only do you hold up that finish tape, you're greeting those runners, right? What's that like for you?
Oh, it's awesome. It's really great to see everyone finish on the finish line. So we give them their lepo'os, their leis, and then also, of course, their towels.
Yes.
We hold the finish line, so it's a huge responsibility, but someone's got to do it.
And when you guys have to get up almost as early as we do, what time did you get up to get down here?
Oh, goodness. 4 a.m.? Yeah, 4 a.m.
It wasn't too bad. I heard you got up at 2.
I got there 1, believe it or not. But, you know, I think that is the cool thing about this event, is that it's kind of like all hands on deck, whether it's us at the news station, the HPD, Honolulu Fire Department, all our medical folks, all the folks that pull this off for the Honolulu Marathon itself. This is such an awesome community event. What does this mean to you guys?
Oh, we love it. We love coming every single year, and everyone is always so energetic, even this early in the morning, so we have a great time.
It's a huge honor, and
yes,
just getting to be a part of the whole mix of it all is just the best.
I love it. So you still have a couple late to hand out. So who are we waiting on?
We are waiting for the 3rd place female wheelchair, so she hopefully is coming soon. We're excited to look for her.
Very good. Ladies, thank you so much.
You.
You both look beautiful. I appreciate you being with us as always this morning. So that's a little behind the scenes look here at the finish line. Why don't we take it back over, put the attention on the runners, and leave you with them on the 52nd running of the Honolulu Marathon. You're watching a special edition of Sunrise right here on Hawaii News Now.
to our live coverage of the Honolulu Marathon. Among all the runners on the course now, medical professionals and volunteers who can help at a moment's notice. Steve Uehara takes a look at their important work.
God forbid anything should happen, but should it actually happen, Dr. Alex Berg is prepared. He's a race medical director for the Honolulu Marathon. How many years have you been doing this?
This is going to be my 4th year doing the marathon.
Yeah.
It's been an incredible experience over the last couple of years. We've taken the marathon, and I think we've created such a intense and incredible medical response basically to anything that could happen on the entire course. We took it from basically a few aid stations. We doubled the number of aid stations over the last couple of years. We have doubled the number of volunteers and even physicians all throughout the course. So over the last 4 years, we've been able to recruit over 16 emergency medicine doctors to be at each aid station on the course. Our aid stations are set up basically about every 1.5 to 2 miles of the course. There's 13 of them out on the course, plus the finish line tent area. So that's 14 total aid stations with quite a bit of a robust medical presence for anything that could go wrong.
How many volunteers?
This year, we're trending over 350 volunteers.
Oh.
We're talking doctors, nurses. We have massage therapists out there. We have physical therapists, tech.
Translators for
quite a bit
Japanese
of Japanese translators. Yes, our Japanese numbers are well into the 7,000-8,000 range. So we have quite a number of them out there to help us take care of any patient that comes in.
You mentioned the tents. How equipped are you? What actually, before we get to that, what are the normal things that you see?
So obviously, running can cause almost anything, from the most minor injuries, which are our scrapes. You fall down, you scrape your shin. We have wound care techniques for that. Someone who's running an endurance race gets a lot of different problems, including chafing and other things that happen. So we have things for that as well. Obviously, while we're really there, though, are for the most serious patients. So if you're on the course, unfortunately, there is a statistic that about 1 in 100,000 runners will actually have a cardiac arrest on the course. So every single one of our aid stations comes equipped with an automated external defibrillator known as an AED. All of our personnel are trained to use it. We have a very robust EMS presence and ability to transport off the course, whether it's to the finish line tent where there's more robust medical care or to our local hospital.
Yeah, and everything is much more set out and much more organized in the tent itself. But let's take a look. Okay, so Dr. Burke has a number of examples of what he is equipped with.
So this is a bag that each of our peripheral aid stations will get.
Okay.
So it looks kind of unorganized, but there is organization here. I promise you that.
There's a method to the madness.
There is. And so when you kind of glance around at what's here, everything from a pretty significant thing that we would need. These are IV start kits. We have the ability to start an IV out there, to start IV fluid hydration if we need to something more minor, but yet probably one of the more important things, which is good old-fashioned Vaseline. So Vaseline is necessary for pretty much all runners that do any type of endurance race. And if you know one of those runners, you can ask them why, and they'll explain that to you. But we do have everything from wound care supplies. We have the ability to wrap joints, put ice down on them. We have moleskins if they're getting blisters on their feet during their runs. We have different types of gauze. We have feminine packs if women need it. We even have things in case people are throwing up out there. We pretty much come stock with everything.
And what is this, Doctor?
So over here, you'll find this is something that we have at the finish line tent. So one of the most significant risks of an endurance runner is that they can get metabolic derangements or problems with their electrolytes. So the reason why you hydrate with electrolyte-based solutions is to replete those. But oftentimes runners can't do that, and they can get very low sodium, which is a really significant problem for marathon runners. This is basically a portable laboratory that we have right here. All we need is to take a tiny bit of blood, fill up this little teeny cartridge, and we're gonna get a full blood chemistry that you would get if you went to the emergency department where I normally work. This will tell us what the sodium is, what their glucose is, and what we need to do to make sure we resuscitate them appropriately and make sure that they're safe.
Yeah, you specialize in sports medicine. Are you a runner?
I did the half marathon.
Which is great. That's more than most of us.
And after that, I said, I don't know if I need to do the marathon. What I would say is that it's an amazing race. It's incredible to see people come out. We hope they're training for this because from a medical perspective, what we want to tell people is that we're not there to cheer people on. We're there to take a look and say, if you're not looking so good, we're going to ask you to come in and stop and let us check you out. So there's lots of people on the course to keep people going. We're there to keep you safe. So if we say, hey, come on over, just give us like 5 minutes and let us check you out.
Yeah, and we hope that you're prepared, but if not, they definitely are. Dr. Burke, thank you. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Shout out to all the medical volunteers out there this morning. Well, those runners are taking over Kalani'anaole Highway right now as they make their way farther east and make their way toward Kalani High School. You can see hundreds of them are along Kalani'anaole Highway and really dashing through Waialaiki, Ainahaina, and Niu Valley. And then here's a look at Hawaii Kai Drive. This is a 16th mile where runners turn left and into the Hawaii Kai community. They've also got an incredible view of Kogo Head. Now this is the turnaround point as runners head back onto Kalani'anaole Highway and take in the view of Mauna Bay Beach Park. That's your first alert traffic on Sunrise. We'll be back with more after the break.
Welcome back. For many runners, training and completing a marathon is deeply personal, but some influencers use social media to inspire others by sharing their experiences. Casey Lunn caught up with some runners who hope to do just that.
Are you recording, Ash?
I am. How many times do I have to do this?
Okay. You know, I just ran straight, no break, all the way up from the bottom of the Makapu'u Lighthouse Trail. You know, fitness is my lifestyle. And you might think when you see people posting fitness content to TikTok and Instagram, maybe they're doing it all for the vanity like me. But for the two Honolulu marathoners that I caught up with, nothing could be further from the truth. As a matter of fact, they use their platform not only to hold themselves accountable, but inspire others. And even better, they're doing a lot to put the Honolulu Marathon on the map.
If you are in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you see Santa running on the side of the highway, he's running a marathon. Give him a honk.
Meet Wyatt Moss, a man on a mission.
This past weekend, I ran the Charlotte Marathon. It's my 47th marathon of the 50 States Marathon Challenge. I started 2024 with an impossible goal. I wanted to run a marathon in all 50 states in 1 year.
From Maryland to Miami, Little Rock to Los Angeles, this 22-year-old Atlanta native has been crisscrossing the country, looking for himself.
2023 was not the best year for me. And so I knew going into 2024, I had to have a massive vision for myself that would require more out of me so that I had to become better.
Wyatt owns a woodworking business and has been traveling home in between marathons, building furniture to pay for his challenge. It may not come as a surprise, his 50th marathon of 2024 is happening right here.
I have this vision of I want to be on social media. I want to have this positive message for the world. I want to be inspiring. But if I never took action on that, then, I'd always just have that goal and never do anything in the world.
A favorite food you're looking forward to eating coming back to Hawaii after living here for a month?
Not Malasadas. Malasadas?
The donut thing? Yeah.
Yes,
The sugary thing at the end of the race.
Aloha, everybody. It's Jay. Hope you guys are having a fabulous day.
Another fitness phenom sharing her journey and her love for this marathon you may recognize. Local influencer, mom, and health advocate, Jelaine Shelton.
I signed up the day before the marathon in 2018, and I did it. And it completely changed like the whole trajectory of my entire life.
I'm wearing my first shirt. Yes. This is my 5th year.
Much like Wyatt, Jelaine also found marathons and this race at a time when she needed it most.
I was probably at my highest weight, around 306 pounds. You know, I was always putting myself pretty much on the last of my priority list. And so when I accomplished the marathon, I thought to myself, if I can do a marathon, I can do anything.
She uses her journey to inspire others and keep herself on track.
I always go back to the feeling that I had when I saw the finish line for the first time. And I know that it sounds so cheap, like just so like, oh my gosh. But I kid you not, that feeling, that moment that I was holding my 2 sons under my arms and I couldn't feel my toes and I literally, everything, I was just on the verge of having like a mental break. I was like, I can't do this. And I saw that finish line. I see that every single time. Every single time something comes in my way, I'm like, no, girl, no, you remember that? You remember it? Yes, okay.
Mahalo nui to Jelaine and Wyatt. By the way, brother, I'll see you at the finish line. I'll have a Malasada waiting for you. Reporting on the east side, I'm Casey Lund for Hawaii News Now.
All right, thanks a lot, Casey. We're joined now by Toya Revis, Tony's much better half, and Dr. Jim Barahall, the man who runs things with the Honolulu Marathon. First of all, let me get your thoughts on how things went today.
Well, I was in the pace car. I mean, first of all, the whole week has been amazing. We have record number of entries. So it's the biggest Honolulu Marathon ever, and I'm going to say it right here. It's the largest sporting event in the history of Hawaii. So we're really proud to be able to put this on and appreciate all the great support. The race itself, I was with the men's lead. It was a great race. There's no wind, so we knew that was good. The humidity's high. It's getting warm right now, but we had a very fast, competitive race, and we have a great champion. And so we're very excited about the men's race and the competition out there. And now we still have about 30,000 more people to bring home.
Yeah, Toya, your race was much more interesting to watch.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your thoughts.
Okay, so when it started, it was great because all 4 ladies were together. And then around, when we got past Diamond Head a little bit, you could tell that Judith was trying to be the alpha in the group. And then at 39K is when everything broke up. We lost Judith, and then after that, the 2 ladies went to go get their bottles. And at 39K, Cynthia took hers, but then Sandra Fellis did not get hers. So all of a sudden, Cynthia said, okay, let me go. And then Sandra just psychologically fell behind.
So you saw this happen?
We saw everything. So, but again, when it first started, all 4 ladies were fine. And then we thought, oh, this is going to be a great race. And then all of a sudden at 39K was the big break. And that was pretty exciting to see.
And that's what Cynthia said. She told us. That's when she knew she was going to win the race.
Yes.
That's pretty late in the race.
Yeah, exactly. All of a sudden at 39K.
We're 24 miles almost. Right. That's very late.
We were shocked because they were still together, towards the latter half of the race. So I was kind of shocked. And then all of a sudden, one lady, the Eritrean Ethiopian lady, fell apart. Went out the back, and then we still had 3 who looked strong. Yeah. And then there was down to 2 after that water station situation.
That last water station is right by Diamond Head.
Yeah.
The Elite Bottle. So the hill can do funny things to people.
And we were surprised that she really fell apart because she was fine until she didn't get her bottle.
You're fine until you're not.
Exactly. So psychologically, she sort of just gave up.
Like we say, when the string breaks, it unravels very quickly.
Yeah, and in the men's race we were talking about, Ruben Carrillo finished second. Actually, that was a remarkable performance. Tony and I were talking that he went out at about the 10th mile. Right. He dropped a 4:38 mile in the 10th mile, and that's early to put the hammer down that fast.
Shocking.
And the hammer that you put down on others often recoils back on you.
Backfires.
So usually you're done at that point, but he wasn't done. And he hung in there, and he only finished, I think, about 18 seconds back.
Exactly.
So amazing that he could, and you could argue, that, Tony, that possibly had he waited, maybe he would have won.
He could have easily had all that energy, which you threw away at the 10th mile mark when you could not win the race at 10, but you could lose the race at 10. And that's essentially what happened, because he was closing, but he didn't quite have enough energy, which he had used earlier in the race when it was not for any purpose.
It's a little bit like a golf tournament, like at the Masters. You can't win the tournament at 12, the par 3, but you can sure as heck lose it.
What was the year that Tiger went out in 40 for the first 9 and won the tournament?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it was we're really happy to get the winning times under 2:12 again. For us, that's kind of been, Honolulu's never going to be the fastest marathon in the world, but we're getting under 2:12 again, and it was a good day, but not a perfect day, but great competition, women's race. Right. We knew going in the women's race was probably going to be a little more competitive. We knew we had 4 really great women runners.
Evenly matched.
And we had great men's runners, but we did know that our defending champion, Paul, was injured, and we did want him to come back, and it was great that he gave it a try, but we found out pretty quickly he wasn't going to be there. So, but it was all around a great professional race and great champions.
How about this? I want to throw the number out again, 36,122. What does that say about the state of the Honolulu Marathon? And are you thinking you can build on this going into next year even more?
We're just getting started here.
Which is so weird to say.
We're just getting this party started, man.
Yeah.
No, it's we really have 2 races here. The professional race, and I got to tell you, I do get comments and feedback. We have great community support. There are some people who say, why do you bring in Kenyans and Eritreans and even some great Japanese runners? Why? No one cares about these fast people. They do care. When we're out on the course, we're coming out on the highway. There's thousands of people going out. People are going nuts to see these top runners and to be that close, to rub elbows with them almost. Right. And I'm coming down Diamond Head today. These are people going out on their 8th mile. And the winner is coming back. He's at his 25th mile. And it's a chicken skin moment. And it's something, we consider everybody out here an athlete. And it's something that you rarely experience in athletics, that you're going to be that close to the champion in that moment. And it's really exciting, and I believe it adds a great element to this great athletic competition.
Well, it validates all the people behind, because you are literally on the same course at the same time. You know exactly where you stack up with the best in the world, and if you didn't have them, it would just be another fun run.
Yeah, and you know where you stack up, and you know. You say, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in my 8th mile, and this guy is at his last mile, and probably for a second you think, maybe I should just turn around here, and that sounds awful good, but yeah, the marathon works on many levels, and right now we still have, tens of thousands of people out on the course, and it's going to be a great day, and we hope we can get everybody in safely. That's the main goal right now.
Yeah, and if you need any indication of how elite these athletes are, I mean, Yamane came over, he's limping, the bottom of his foot is completely blistered, but when you're watching him out on the court, like, he didn't break stride at all. He's like the perfect runner all the way up until the end, and then he gets off and he's like limping, and he said his foot is bleeding.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are warriors.
It takes courage.
Yeah. Well, it took courage for him to leave his country and to come to a new country without his family that he hasn't seen in a long time. And to work very hard, driving Ubers, doing food delivery, and training. Now, this guy is a top world-class athlete. He was 5th in the steeplechase in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. So this guy was the top athlete. This is a legend in his own country, 5th in the Olympics, and he leaves it all behind. And Tony will tell you, steeplechasers, which is 3,000 meters, which is around 2 miles over barriers, these guys are strong, and these guys often become great marathoners.
Exactly. Great road racer, great marathoners. A strength event leads to a strength event.
Yeah. All right, guys, thanks for joining us.
Right,
Appreciate it. Gonna take
Dear, happy anniversary, 22nd anniversary.
They got married here.
Barefoot on the beach in Sunset.
Right on the beach, so yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. We'll be right back.
Thank you, dear. Thanks, Jim.
area just past the halfway point of this year's Honolulu Marathon. Runners have now been on the course for just over 3 hours now, and it's enough time that the elite field has finished, and we are also seeing the rest of the field making their way across the finish line. And mahalo for joining us for our special edition of Sunrise. Aloha, I'm Annalisa Burgos. It's been an exciting morning. Let's check out this year's top finishers. This year's top male finisher, Yamane Haile Selassie of Eritrea. He came in at 2:11:59. He made his official marathon debut just this year in Boston, and now he can call himself a champion in the distance. And a familiar name on top for the women, Kenya's Cynthia Limo is taking home the title for the second year in a row after crossing the line at 2:31:14. And Jelani Martinez is in the First Alert Traffic Center. Oh my gosh, what an exciting morning, Jelani.
An exciting morning for sure, Annalisa. Now we see those runners right now along Kalani Anaole Highway. They have taken over East Oahu, really making their way toward Cocoa Head. As you can see, there are a bunch of them pacing themselves as they run past Kalani High School and make their way into the East Oahu neighborhoods, including Waialaiki, Niu Valley, and Ainahaina. Then here's a look at the turnaround point over at Hawaii Kai Drive as runners make their way into the Hawaii Kai community and really take in that incredible view of Cocoa Head. And then this is the turnaround point. So as runners head back onto Kalani Anaole Highway and run past Mauna Loa Bay Beach Park. That is your First Alert Traffic on Sunrise. Annalisa, back to you.
Thanks, Jelani. Our runners started today's race looking to join an exclusive club. Jim Mendoza explains.
In his New York suburb, distance runner Ben Jones is at it again. The 34-year-old has been training for the Honolulu Marathon. It will be his 7th long-distance race this year.
It's a little nerve-wracking because, I still need to do it under 3 in Honolulu, and it'll be warmer than I'm used to.
The under 3 he's referring to is the 3-hour goal he sets every time he laces up his shoes for the 26.2 miles a marathon covers from start to finish.
Excellent job, Benjamin Jones.
If you run slow enough and can, keep an even pace, then you'll be rewarded for it later on. And it's definitely something that comes with experience.
He has a lot of that. Jones has won several marathons, but his biggest accomplishment is consistently finishing them below the 3-hour mark. He has done it in 49 states. Hawaii is the last on his list.
I know Diamond Head's the big hill that you have to go through around like mile 8 and 24 or so. But it's mostly flat along the coast, which is nice.
Jones finished his first marathon in under 3 hours way back in 2009. Between then and now, he has run a lot of miles.
It's definitely in the thousands, probably tens of thousands. I don't know, too many.
He fits the marathons around family time and his career in finance, and he's very picky about the races he chooses.
I mostly choose ones that are flat, so that they're easier to break 3 for. I also pick based on my own schedule.
This will be his first Honolulu Marathon. It's such a big deal that his family is coming out to watch him run. And he's already thinking about what he'll do when it's over.
First, I think I'm going to get a beer somewhere in Honolulu. And then my sister is also doing the race. And I'm really hoping she doesn't beat me.
If Jones averages about 6.5 minutes per mile, he will break the 3-hour mark and officially end his sub-350 challenge, a finish line that is finally in his sights. I'm Jim Mendoza for Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Jim. So did Ben make his goal? Good news, he did, with plenty of time to spare. He finished this morning with a time of 2:55:29. Huge congratulations to him. All right, let's send things over to Steve Uyahara and Tony Revis, who are at the finish line. Hey, guys.
Yes, and we have the first Kama'aina finishers. We have Gabriel Tam and we have Sean Morimoto. We're actually waiting for Amanda Beeman, who was the first female to finish for the Kama'aina. But you guys, it was a really close race. 1 second between the two of you.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, what were you thinking coming down the final stretch?
Just give it a little bit.
The first goal was to try and improve my Boston qualifier time for 2026, and then the second goal was to try and get Kama'aina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sean, were you able to put in a final push at the final moments, or?
No, this guy was too fast. I was just lucky to be so close to him this year. He was tired. He's much faster.
Well, how was the race? I mean, were you guys aware of one another as being close competitors throughout the race? And did the Kama'aina title, the way that race play out, did you think about it during the race?
Honestly, no. I thought that I was going to just jump in, pace the guys through maybe about 20 miles, and then, fall back a little bit. I've been working the expo for the last 3 days, and I thought that someone else was going to definitely go and get it.
And how about you, John?
Oh, I was just trying to finish. I'm just happy where I finished.
How many times have you run Honolulu?
This is my 6th time.
And is this the best Kama'aina finish for you?
Yeah, it's the best I've ever done.
On the podium, second place, pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. So at the same time, I know you said you weren't thinking about it too much, but being the first Kama'aina, that has to mean something, right?
I got it back in 2021, and I've been fighting hard for 3 years to come back and get it again, so finally glad to get back into that and crack it again.
Yeah. In the meantime, we have Amanda Beeman.
Amanda Beeman.
Amanda,
Come on in here, Amanda.
Come on over here. What was your time? 3:08? Is that what you?
I'm not sure. You probably know better than me.
What was it like out there?
It was kind of hot, but I think we could kind of beat the sun a little bit, so that was good.
Yeah. Being the first Kama'aina to cross the finish line, how special is that?
Oh, it's such a joy. I mean, I grew up here, so it's amazing to be able to just run the marathon when I can and hopefully do well. And I'm glad it went pretty well today.
Yeah, I want to get high schools. What high school do you go to?
Iolani School.
Kaiser.
Kauai High School.
Yeah, Neighbor Islands represent. Well, guys, congratulations. Thanks for representing us so well, and enjoy the rest of it. What are you guys eating now?
Oh, I don't know, just my normal breakfast, like yogurt or something.
Yogurt.
Get me to the Malasadas.
Oh.
Maybe an omelet or something.
Okay, well, enjoy, relax, get off your feet, man, and thanks for joining us. We
Congratulations, all.
Thank you so much.
All right, right now we're going to head out to Kyle Chinen, who is checking out some of the other runners. Kyle, what's going on?
How's it going, guys? You just mentioned they were repping their high schools after finishing the marathon. I'll never finish a marathon, but I will still rep my alma mater of Mililani High School, as you know. I'm here on Kalanianaole Highway. As you can see behind me, there's just a sea of people. I'm going to step out of frame here just so you can see how many people have been just coming across the track, going across the course. And, the vibes are high here. We have a lot of spectators looking on and cheering them on. You have some people here with cowbells and all that. Got people in costume. Everybody just enjoying being a part of the race. We keep talking about it. There's no end time. There's no cutoff time. So it really allows people to soak it in and get kind of unique views of East Honolulu as they're on the road. You might, see it as you're driving through, but to be on the ground and running the Honolulu Marathon and to cross that finish line is something special. Yep, that's what. Hey, everybody, say hi to the camera. Say hi to the camera. All these people taking on the Honolulu Marathon. They're making their way down Kalanianaole Highway into Hawaii Kai to get to that turnaround point. That's kind of their glimmer of hope, at least in my eyes, at least, to know that you're heading your way back to Kapiolani Park. So just in short, it's been fun. It's getting a little bright here. The sun's coming up. It's been good vibes here. I'm going to adjust my camera there just a little bit. But for now, it's just been so much fun. Continuing coverage of the 2024 Honolulu Marathon continues after this short break.
us at the finish line, Drew Davis.
Good morning, guys.
So you were out watching the elite male runners.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
I gotta say, Steve, Tony, I know nothing about marathons, and I was out there, like you said, with the elites. I was with Dr. Jim Bearhall as well. It was awesome. And the wealth of knowledge that Dr. Jim Bearhall has just made the event so much fun to cover.
Yeah.
And it really just opened my eyes to the world of running.
Yeah, that's what it's like sitting next to this guy. Let me tell you, man, I knew nothing as well.
Jim and I started together it's 1979 here in Honolulu doing KKUA radio coverage of the Honolulu Marathon, and that's when we became friends. And I've been coming back every year since, and we've been best of friends. But that's the thing. He's been a real student of the game. He was a great runner at the University of Michigan, and he and Dr. John Cross, longtime race director, were two of the best runners on the island in the 80s. And so the passion for the sport is obviously still evident.
Yeah, and just seeing like I said, the wealth of knowledge, the being able to tell what the runners are thinking at that moment. Hey, this is a good move. This is a bad move. It was added so much.
Was Dr. Bearhall as surprised as Tony was when Carrio took that first jump around the 10-11 mile mark?
I think he was.
Yeah,
If I remember correctly, he was a little surprised. I can't remember if he said a move like this won't necessarily win you the marathon, because I asked about this. Is it too early for a lead?
It is.
Yeah. How about this? You also had somebody else riding along with you.
Yes, so alongside with Dr. Jim Bearhall, we had James McCurdy, who was one of the trainers for Yamane, who won. Right. And being able to see him cheer him on, talk about his history as a runner, what he's up to next. James said that Yamane is, this is his first of 3 marathons coming up. He wanted to win this one. He's going to the Houston Marathon next, where he wants to get a time, and then he wants to be on the podium at the Boston Marathon.
Well, he's got the ability, like Jim was saying in our interview, Yamane was a 5th place finisher at the Olympic final in the steeplechase, and he just won the Boston half marathon in 1:01. So the guy's got all the talent in the world. Now those times at the steeplechase and the half marathon have not yet translated into a very fast time for the marathon, but this guy is a budding 2:05 marathon runner. So don't be surprised all of a sudden this guy just shoots up on the international stage, as the Honolulu Marathon has often been a springboard for some of the greatest runners in the world.
How about this? You might be the perfect person to ask this. As a former sports reporter, we used to come out here, and this is what we would do. We'd shoot this one shot as they come across the finish line, get a couple of sound bites, go back to the station. That's our story. But to be able to come out here and to be in that car and to see the strategy play out, and to hear the stories about these people's lives, and to understand the whole nuance of what this race is like, and also the personalities. I mean, it's a completely different appreciation for this sport, right?
Yeah, it really adds a lot. If we just did a story, it was 2 to 3 minutes on our newscast later, you miss so much. And we got the full picture. Everybody at home got the full picture as well. And I don't think there's a better way to cover the marathon.
Yeah. You know what it is that American sports are episodic. Every 30 seconds there's a new pitch, a new play, a new, whatever. Marathon is a building drama, and it takes 2 hours to unfold, and the tension builds as the distance goes by. And then when the denouement happens, when it like a 39K for the women, or when Carrio wasn't over even coming into the park. I mean, there's all that release of all that tension, and that's what makes it special.
Yeah, well, it's been fun to watch.
It really has.
I'm glad you were with us.
I've been glad to be here.
Hope to see you next year on the truck again.
Let's hope so.
Thanks, Drew.
All right, we're going to take a quick break from the Honolulu Marathon. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back to our special sunrise coverage of the 52nd Honolulu Marathon here at the finish line. And actually, just a little beyond the finish line, I want to give you a look about where we are now. We're here at the medaling area. This is where those athletes come after they complete the race at a really special moment. And actually, while I'm here with you, sir, can I talk to you? Can I get your name really quickly?
Alfonso Nunez Perez.
Where are you running from?
From New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Dover, New Jersey, yeah.
How was the race today?
Challenging, but mental.
Yeah. A little bit humid today, but otherwise weather not too bad.
No, perfect. Very chill in the morning. Picked up a little bit towards Diamond Head, but wasn't anything too crazy.
I want to ask you what it's like. Is this your first marathon? I assume not, because you finished in pretty good time.
Oh, no, a lot of halves, but this is my first full.
Oh, awesome.
So, very proud of myself. My wife is running right now as we speak, so I'm waiting for her now.
Alfonso, congratulations. What did it feel like to put a beautiful gold Honolulu Marathon finisher on your neck?
All those months of hard work, pushing myself, pushing each other to run even though we don't want to because we had a goal in mind, and it felt beautiful to finish.
Alfonso, brother, thank you so much for talking with me. Get yourself a Malasada and a good meal. Where are you going to eat, by the way?
Some pasta.
All right.
Some poi, obviously.
Yeah, poi. Boy, we got you. I gotta break the news. We're not known for great Italian food out here, but there's some spots.
Okay.
All right, brother. Enjoy. Congratulations. Thank you so much. I want to come over and talk to the head of medals here. Katie is with us. Katie, good morning to you. This is such a special area. We wanted to showcase it. SGC, by the way, we talked with the CEO. We went to Japan. We learned how these medals are crafted, the love and design that goes into the medals. But we also are more importantly just talking about this moment when those finishers get that over their neck. It's huge.
It's a huge moment, and some people it's the greatest thing that they've done, and it's such an accomplishment. It's fun to see how rewarding it is for them, whether it's the 2-hour 10-minute finisher or the 6-hour, some 9 hours.
Can I ask you a little behind the scenes question too, because you have to transport a lot of these medals. These are not flimsy medals. They're heavy. What are the logistics like getting these all to the finish line here?
It's a huge endeavor.
Yeah.
So yesterday I had probably 25 military helpers. The Marines were fantastic. But yeah, carting the boxes. We had 6 pallets full of medals, boxes. And yeah, just getting the garbage and unpacking each medal individually in a wrapper for 30,000 is quite a feat.
Yeah. And then I'm sure it's a gift for you and your volunteers to be able to present them with that. I'm sure that's a special thing.
It is. A lot of these kids are students of ours. A couple of us are teachers. So it's a great community service for them, and it inspires. Sometimes they get inspired, and the next year they're running it.
I love that. Katie Bourne with us, in charge of the medals here at the Honolulu Marathon. Thank you so much for the work that you do, you and your crew as well. Again, this is such an awesome, awesome moment. Here's my dear friend, Fred Chen, completed the race. How did you do?
I did well. I was pacing my friends today. So yeah, we did a 3:30 group. So
awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Get yourself a medal and a Malasada, my friend. Good to see you. A friend of mine, Fred Chen. That's what I love about the Honolulu Marathon. It's a local racers. It's a local race. This is a Hawaii race, and it's so awesome to see your loved ones and friends and family cross the finish line and get their medal here. Let's send things back over to the finish line with Steve Uehara and the crew. Steve.
Yes, thank you, Casey. I don't know how you lucked out and you got the whole Malasada station. I mean, whatever. Save some for us. Hey, a little while ago you heard from the Kama'aina finishers, the top Kama'aina finishers. We have the first Hawaii resident to finish, Jared Bro, with a time of 2:44.48. How was it?
It hurt. It hurt a lot, but it was a great run.
Yeah, we were surprised. You said this is your personal best. You've run what seems like easier marathons. Houston's a lot flatter, but you still had a better time here. What was it?
I think it was just a great build. Just running. There's something about running and training in Hawaii. You know, like the hills, the humidity, and the heat. Like it works wonders for you.
You were prepared. You know, running is a what have you done for me lately sport. It's like, give me your last. I mean, we were talking about experience on the women's side. I said, well, give me the fittest person. Fitness is just about the deciding factor, and the fact that you were fitter didn't make any difference if you're on flatter, faster courses. You were fitter for today's race?
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you moved here 2 years ago from the Houston area. Have you always been a runner?
I really started running in 2019. I had a buddy talk me into doing a marathon and haven't looked back since then. So yeah.
What is it about running that appeals to you?
I think it's the challenge for myself, and also the chance to hang out with friends. And there's a great community here. It's a chance for me to hang out with my wife. We're both runners, so like it's there's something about it.
And you guys live out in Kailua, which is a great running area. You said there, do you run with a group or?
Every now and then on Thursdays we'll run with the group, and on Sunday mornings I'll run with the group out here in Ala Moana.
Awesome. Well,
that's great. Well, did you think you had a chance at the Residence title at the start line?
I had no idea. I knew I had a shot at 2:45. That was my goal today, and coming around the last corner there, I looked at my watch. It said 2:41. I was like, I think we can do this.
You said you started to hurt. Where did it begin to get difficult?
Probably about mile 18 or so.
Yeah. So we were saying. So the body is saying, I got the point.
Yeah.
No. So it really is. It's a willful game. You really have to your mind over matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had to dig deep those last few miles.
Yeah. Well, your mind won out. You beat your body into submission.
Right.
That's congratulations on your personal best. We appreciate
Great job. Absolutely. See you again next year, hopefully, Jared.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Jared,
rest well. Recover well.
Right now, we're going to go back in the studio with Annalisa Burgos. Annalisa?
Just a reminder, these people are finishing at 3:30, so that's amazing times right there. But for many, the Honolulu Marathon isn't about the total time, it's about just finishing the 26.2 miles. Grace Lee spoke with Andy Sloan in Chicago before he headed to Oahu this year, and he was the last one to finish last year, and he's back.
Participate. Joining us from Chicago, we have marathon runner Andy Sloan. First of all, Andy, why would you run the marathon in Honolulu? You got plenty of them on the mainland.
Thank you so much for having me. So I picked the Honolulu Marathon because when I first started training, I was 436 pounds and I was in a pretty bad place health-wise. And I, had some starts and stops. And this was in about 2017 that I decided it was time to make a change. I was at a football game for my dad's birthday, and we had parking pretty much right in front of the stadium we were at. And I needed a cane to get in. I couldn't walk in. And I just felt like for my family, for my friends, for myself, it was time to make a change. When I started, I could barely walk a quarter of a block. It went from that first step to quarter block to block, and then eventually did some 5Ks. Want to train, I want to take a stab at finishing the marathon, and came out last year and just felt incredible support from the running community out there and everyone out there. I can't describe the feeling. It's just so much support, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. Decided, hey, I want to do it again this year and really show that I can do it and try to cut a little time off as well.
Andy, an incredible story that you could barely walk half a block, then to finish 26.2 miles. You were the very last one to finish last year in the marathon, I understand. For anyone who is considering doing this, what was kind of your mentality as you finished that 26.2 miles, especially when you thought, I may not make it?
No, that's a great question. For me, I just kept the thought in my mind of just take that first step, and every step counts. And I think at around 13.1, I did start to cry. I got a little emotional because I'd always thought during my training, if I can get halfway, I can finish. And that was my moment of just kind of feeling the emotions, and we can do this, we can do this. And at that moment, someone drove by and shouted some great words of encouragement and support, and it just lifted me up. And that was the whole course. I mean, when I got towards the finish, some people kind of came and walked to the end with me and then jogged that last kind of quarter mile.
And for this marathon, going to be even more special. Tell me about your parents who are coming from Chicago as well.
Parents are coming out, and they said, we want to be there for you this year, and we're really proud of you. Don't want to get emotional, but they saw me at my lowest points, so they know like how far I've come. It's actually their 50th anniversary on January 12th. Really excited to have them, and it means the world to me to have them be able to be out there and knowing that they're a large part of why I did this. Just to have them there and know that I get to hug them at the finish, it means a lot.
Well, Andy, we're going to be cheering you on, and we congratulate you on going on this journey and getting healthier and getting fit. So congratulations, and thanks for sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much, and just really appreciate all the support, and I can't wait to see everyone out there.
We'll be watching for you.
Thank you, Grace. So many inspiring stories of change and strength, especially for those of us who don't run like me and our child, Jeanette, who is actually in Kahala. Isn't it amazing just to see all of these great people, Kyle?
It is incredible to see everybody hit the course, and I did hear, yes, in fact, I am not a runner. If you've seen me out in the wild, you can tell. But people out here on the course are taking it on, having a great time. As you can see, just so much people here going through the marathon, and just what that package was just talking about. There's no end time. Anyone and everyone can finish, can do the Honolulu Marathon, which I think is so special. And I know Casey was talking a little bit earlier, just seeing so many friends. This is Hawaii's marathon. I had to stop and say hi to maybe a dozen of my friends and people that I've met and know. So it's super cool to see, and I'm gonna step out of frame just a little bit just so you can see more people coming. And now you're seeing a lot more people on the other side of the road heading back towards Diamond Head, back towards Kahala, back towards the finish line where they are getting a nice hot malasada, which I'm kind of jealous because I'm too far away to just walk over like our Casey Lund is about to do soon. But yes, say hi to the camera, everybody. Hawaii News Now. Yes, they are taking on the marathon in stride, pun intended. And as I come back here on camera, the vibes are high here, no matter where you are on the course. For now, though, I'm going to send things back to the studio. Jelani?
All right, Kyle. Oh, my goodness. Look at all those runners out there. They are taking over East Oahu and Kalani'anaole Highway. It is also nice and sunny out there. How does it feel out there right now, Kyle? Oh, actually, let's go to our traffic cameras. As you can see,
yeah, that's right, Jelani. It's nice. The sun has come up. As you can tell, it's getting a little bright. It's getting a little warmer. It was nice and cool this morning. No rainfall. I was out here earlier, a little bit chilly, but for someone who's taken on 26.2 miles, I'm sure it felt really nice. And now the sun's starting to come up, and it's nice, bright and sunny. Beautiful conditions out here on Kalani'anaole Highway.
all right, thank you, Kyle. Well, you can see so many people are taking on Kalani'anaole Highway, making their way past Kalani High School, and really running through those neighborhoods like Waialaiki, where Kyle is at right now. And then here is a look at them making their way through Aina Haina and really reaching the halfway point, which is over at Hawaii Kai. You know, here's a look at Hawaii Kai. That's the 16th mile where runners turn left and into the Hawaii Kai community and get an incredible view of Koko Head. This is again the turnaround point as runners head back onto Kalani'anaole Highway and take in the view of Mauna Loa Bay Beach Park. Now that is your first alert traffic on sunrise. You can see that people are heading back to Kapi'olani Park. Here's a look at the finish line as runners trickle in. That is your first alert traffic on sunrise. We'll be back with more after the break.
special sunrise coverage of the 52nd Honolulu Marathon at possibly all the athletes' favorite place. Hey, what are we serving up here, ladies?
We're serving Malasada.
Now, I know I didn't run the race, but just for the sake of the interview, may I have one? They might not let me have one. Let me see one of those things really quickly. This is what all those athletes are waiting for. This delicious, fried, sugary, doughy goodness. I'm going to take a little bite, even though I didn't earn it. That's okay. Oh, look out, look out. I want to take you, though, inside the Malasada's tent. We're going to navigate our way through here if we can. Oh, aloha, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, look at this. Look at the assembly line for the Malasadas, and I've got my dear friend Kai Waters. Kai, can you come with me here, my friend? Oh, we got to stay out of the way. This is a busy happening place. How long have you been working in the Malasada tent today?
Today, we've been here since around 4 a.m., so I'm not sure what time it is now, but I'm pretty sure maybe around 5 hours.
Yeah, and it's warm in here. There's a lot of activity. You folks are with SAS, Spike and Serve Volleyball. You want to give a shout out to anybody while you're on TV?
My mom. I don't know anyone from, if I would shout out from Spike and Serve, but thank you for allowing us this opportunity to be able to help out the people running the marathon today.
So Spike and Serve guys are volunteering in the Malasada's booth. What's it like working in here? I mean, it's a hotbed of activity.
Yes, it's hot, but I think that all of us are just glad to be given the opportunity to, because all the people running are the ones that put in all the hard work. So for us to be able to even help them out a little bit by giving this like sweet treat after they run is like important to us.
So my real question, my dear friend, is with all of this fried, doughy, sugary goodness going on, have you snuck a couple yourself?
I have not. I might have to try that though.
Oh, P.S. I don't know if I believe that, Kai Waters. Well, no, I'm sure you haven't. You guys have been so busy getting everything ready. Thank you for talking with me. I appreciate it. Kai Waters with Spike and Serve Volleyball. Take a look at this. Guys, give another good Malasada scream. Say hi to everybody watching at home. You know, one of the cool things about all the Malasadas is the amount of work that it takes to get them all ready, all for the athletes. You know, to learn a little bit more about how this all comes together, let's check in with H&N's Mark Carpenter.
We finished. Completing the Honolulu Marathon is the culmination of months of grueling training, and crossing the finish line comes with a set of perks: t-shirt, medal, and the best of all, a perfectly golden, hot, and sweet Malasada. A labor of love, spearheaded by Pearl City native Ernest Cam and his family.
My sister, her husband, her children, his children, my children. So everybody comes over and they all put a hand in there and they all make sure it gets completed.
And bringing these doughy delights to life is its own production, which requires hundreds of pounds of flour, 15 50-pound bags of sugar, and 50 35-pound barrels of oil. All prep work and cooking is done on site, which Cam oversees starting at 2 a.m. Before frying begins, conditions for the dough need to be just right.
He needs to make sure that tent is brought up to the proper temperatures. Once he gets it in there, he literally is monitoring it minute by minute, going in there, checking it, making sure we keep the temperature, because the outdoor temperature makes a big difference.
And they need a lot of hands, with 125 volunteers to help with frying, sugar coating, packing, and distribution.
The distribution table takes about maybe 50 to 90 people based on the amount. So since this year we're doing 32,000, we have an estimated 90 volunteers coming in just to distribute those 32,000 Malasadas.
For each runner, a delicious rite of passage, and the team makes sure everyone is taken care of.
We don't want anybody to not have a Malasada. The happiness that they get, maybe, is that the right word? But just that alone and their thankfulness, you know, as they're coming through the lines, that is the most gratifying. It's just being able to hand them that, and it's great.
Mark Carpenter, Hawaii News Now.
You know, thank you so much, Mark. For many runners, it's possible the Malasada means even more than the medal. I don't know about that. Let me ask my friend Brandon.
Hey, how's it going? This is it. This is why we run.
This is why we run.
Yes, absolutely.
All worth it. How did you finish today?
Finished good. 3.5 hours about, so right on target.
You certainly earned your medal, my friend, and you certainly earned this. Cheers. Let's have a bite. I didn't really earn it, but I'm going to eat it nonetheless.
That's okay.
Brandon, thank you for speaking with me. Oh man,
perfect.
That is perfect. Right out of the fryer. Now, I know that Steve Uehara was expecting me to bring him a Malasada, but Steve, I think I've got a much healthier option for you. This banana that I'm holding in my hands. How's that sound, my friend?
Oh, both.
I'll bring you two.
Okay.
While I finish my Malasada.
You're so kind. You sucker. You sucker. Hey Tony, it's hot right now, and we're starting to see, as excited as people are as they're crossing the finish line, there's a little bit of fatigue, and I think the heat is playing into that just a bit. Huh?
It is. It's interesting. Jim Barahall, Dr. Jim Barahall, he wears many hats. I mean, he's working with us in the lead vehicle. He's president of the Honolulu Marathon Association, but he's also a physician. And he says, the very top runners, from like the winners down to like 3 hours and 30 minutes, are well trained and they can handle the heat because they prepared for it. And the people who are running 5 hours and more are not going hard enough to hurt themselves. But the people from about 3 hours and 45 to 4 hours and 45 may have been athletes when they were younger.
Yes.
They still have that competitive drive. Yes. And that is the danger zone, he said, when it gets hot. That's when he really goes on high alert. Because those are the people that can hurt themselves without meaning to. Because in the marathon, when you start feeling bad, even if you stop, there's a cascading effect that's still coming on to you. So once you get in trouble, it can be serious.
Yeah, which is actually really interesting that you mentioned that, because we're like 3:49. That's still a really good time.
Very good time.
Under 4 hours, and a lot of the people that we're seeing, they're big, fit, physical people that are obviously athletes or maybe former athletes, like you just said. But this is, I guess, why Dr. Barahall has this so well staffed. Beautiful. I think they had about 300, if you're counting volunteers and medical personnel. They're well taken care of here over at the Honolulu Marathon.
You'll do things in a big group that you would never do by yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. You get into these marathons and it's competitive. I won't be the first one to drop out. I will finish, and you'll put yourself in harm's way.
Yeah, and you feel the energy, right? You get it's captivating. You get all excited about it, and you're like, okay, now this is my comfort zone. I can go beyond that because I'm feeling the adrenaline rush of everybody around me.
Right. I mean, so it's a very positive thing, but it can have negative consequences.
Yeah. Do you think Casey's going to bring us a Malasada? Or?
Well, I hope it wasn't just TV talk.
We'll see. I don't know if we're going to have much time after this, Tony, but your thoughts on the marathon this year and how great things went.
We thought that the fields were a little bit thin this year because of all the competition that's out there and et cetera. And it turns out, tremendous competition. Yes. 4 women most of the way, down to a 2-woman battle at the end. A 2-man battle from the 11-mile mark on, but it never ceased being a battle. All the way to the finish line, Yamani Haile Selassie had to hold off Ruben Carrillo. I mean, if he backed off a second, he would have lost this race. So from my standpoint, from an elite competition standpoint, 2 fabulous competitions. That's all you can ask for.
2 races that played out completely different. Very entertaining the entire way.
Very entertaining. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
As always, Tony, it's been fun to go with you, my friend.
We love Hawaii News Now.
Thank you. All right, I think right now we're going to go take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more coverage of the Honolulu Marathon.
back to our special coverage of the 52nd Honolulu Marathon. Let's head over to Steve and Tony at the finish line. They've been covering all the excitement from the finish line. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Annalisa, along with Drew and Billy as well. How much fun did you guys have today?
You know, this, as far as marathons go, this has got to be one of the best days.
Yeah.
I just saw a lot of people out there smiling, got to follow the women out there and the leaders and just watch them all push through together until things unraveled, as you say. So for me, it was good.
I had a blast. It makes me want to run a marathon, Steve.
Really?
I'll do that next year to get out of working.
Wait.
I don't know. Maybe that'll happen.
No, it's too bad you already said it.
I had a good time. Maybe I will run the marathon next year.
Okay, you'll be 2024. I was 1983, 6 hours, 2 minutes, 37 seconds.
Okay, I have not and probably will not.
Everyone's a winner when they finish.
Yes.
Yeah. It is quite hot at this point. You see a lot of people, we don't want to focus on it, but there are a lot of people that are coming through and they're having trouble breathing. Some people are taking a break on the ground. But you can definitely see the euphoria on the faces as they cross the finish line, the feeling of accomplishment, because 26.2 miles, man, that's no joke, right, Tony?
You know, nobody could give you the feeling that you earn at the finish line. You can't put it in a box, tie a bow around it, and give it as a present. You got to earn this. And there's no shortcuts. It's not lucky punch. It's all that preparation and all that training leading to those 26.2 miles. And that's why you see the feelings showing on the faces of these people as they come across this line.
And it's before you cross the line, it's in this last stretch here where all of a sudden you're just getting up to there and all of a sudden you feel power out of nowhere, even though you're all spent, and you cross that line and it's just the biggest smiling feeling.
All I heard was you say, it's hard, Drew, you shouldn't do it, you can't handle it. No.
Yeah, Tony described it earlier as a difficult pleasure.
A difficult pleasure.
Which I think is a perfect way to describe it, because once you finish, you see everybody finishing, crossing the line, putting their hands up, celebrating. It's a personal accomplishment as well.
Well, I mean, you got blisters on the sides of your feet, on the soles of your feet. You've got you can't breathe. If you don't lubricate properly as a male, you will get bleeding nipples. And so what's the entry fee for this? People who don't run, who look at it say, well, why would you?
Yeah.
But people who run understand fully. It's the feeling that you get, the accomplishment that you perform.
Yeah. Look, before we go, I think we all want to say thank you to the Honolulu Marathon and partnering with you and Jim Barahall and everything that you've done. It's spectacular. We learn a lot every single year, and every single year it plays out a little bit differently. So to see the strategy, we talk about this, the strategy, the gamesmanship, and just how different the sport is from what we're used to seeing with just somebody crossing the finish line and understanding the nuance and everything that goes on in the other part of the race.
Well, I can tell you from the outside, those of us from the marathon and those on the outside, we cannot more appreciate the enthusiasm of the entire Hawaii News Now team. You guys embrace this. You bring your full power, your enthusiasm to this party and this show, and it really does come across in product.
Yeah. Final thoughts, guys?
Mahalo to everybody who stands out for hours on the race route that just want to come out to cheer runners on. Thank you.
And thank you guys for letting me be a part of it this year. I was filling in for Guy. This has been a lot of fun, and mahalo to all the viewers as well.
And guarantee he's running next year. Got it. Annalisa, it's been a lot of fun. I hope you had fun too.
We did, for me and Jelani here in the studio. Thanks so much, guys. To all our crews out there, thank you. And that's a wrap for us and our coverage of the 52nd Honolulu Marathon on Sunrise. But the race isn't over, guys. As you saw, thousands of runners still left to finish the course. If you happen to head out, be sure to get out there and cheer them on. And as we get out, a live look over the course in East Oahu. Take a look at that. What a beautiful view. Again, thank you so much for joining us for this special edition of Sunrise. Have a great week, everybody.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more HNN content. Sponsored by King Windward Nissan in Kaneohe. Visit kingwindwardnissan.com.
Battery level is low.